Jonathan Fix is suing his former friend, 23-year-old Mike Willem, for punching him at a bar. Mike says Jonathan was calling his sister disparaging names.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 93 on the calendar, the matter of Fix versus Woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Wollum, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Okay. Would you stand up, please? Move over to your brother. Your last name is?
Wollum.
Tell me what relationship you had with Mr. Fix.
We were very good friends for several years.
Just friends?
Just friends.
Did you have a falling out?
Yes.
When?
It was in June of 2009.
Over what?
My roommate and I had some things that we had borrowed from him that he wanted back, and I guess he'd asked her for them back. Were not returned the day
what
he wanted
things?
them. She borrowed a mattress from him, and then we also had a tuner for our television that he needed back for when he moved into his new house.
And he asked back and you didn't return?
He asked her back for them, and I don't know what conversation took place there, and they were not returned the same day. The reason we had the falling out was that night he showed up at our house in the middle of the night, screaming, banging, obviously very drunk, demanding I open the door, calling me every name in the book, demanding I let him in.
Did you borrow the things or did your roommate?
We borrowed the TV tuner together.
What does that mean, together?
We borrowed it for our TV to use together.
Who asked him to borrow it?
I believe she did.
So she was his friend as well?
She was his friend as well, yes.
And who borrowed the mattress?
She did.
Well, then why would he be angry with you?
He just wanted his things back, and he knew that I was home. He could hear me. My bedroom window was above the front door, and it was open. And I was on the phone. I just found out I was pregnant that day, actually. So I was on the phone with someone, and he said, I can hear you. I know you're there. Come down and open this door right now. And it was the middle of the night. He was obviously belligerent, very drunk. And I said, I'm not opening the door for you. I'm not. If you want your things back, you can come back. I'm going to call the police. You can get your things back with the police.
Did he come and get his things back?
He left. I called the police.
Did he come and get his things back was my question.
Yes, he did.
When?
The next day.
Okay, so he got his things back.
He got his things back.
And since then you haven't spoken?
Have not spoken.
Now sit down.
Thank you.
So this is what your case is about. You met Mr. Wollum, who you evidently knew through his sister, or at a bar.
Right.
And it is your claim that he assaulted you.
Right.
He says he didn't assault you, it's not his fault. You must have fallen when he pushed you because you were drunk, and you shouldn't have been saying bad things about his sister anyway. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. On what date did this incident take place?
March 4th, 2010, around 12:30 a.m.
Where?
At a bar called Mac and Charlie's in Boise, Idaho.
What time did you get to the bar?
About 12:25. I was literally in the bar for about 5 minutes. I had not.
Where had you been before?
I was at another bar. I had 2 drinks in the past 2 hours.
Just a second. Don't volunteer any information. I take you were at another bar.
Right.
Why did you leave the other bar?
Because we heard that it was quarter beer night at this other bar, which was cheaper than the dollar beer night that we were at.
What time had you arrived at the bar?
I arrived at about 11 p.m.
So why don't you tell me what happened, Mr. Fix?
Well, I walked into the bar, almost immediately saw Mike. We were both mutually glad to see each other and gave a big hug. And
how long have you known him?
Since I've known Bobby, a couple years. So we exchanged a big hug, and then I started explaining to him why his sister...
No, you're not explaining. What did you say to him? What did he say to you? Gave him a big hug, and then says, good to see you too.
Yeah.
And then somebody said something about his sister.
Right.
That had to be either you or him.
That was me.
What did you say?
I was explaining to him why...
No, what did you say?
I used the B word. I called her a...
What did you say?
I called her a... I shouldn't have done that. I apologize.
Just a second. I want to know what you said. Tell me what you said.
I was explaining the story about why her and I are no longer friends, which is because her story is that I was there.
No, listen to me.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you said to the defendant.
Okay.
You hugged, he hugged you, good to see you, and then you just dove right in to telling him a story about his sister.
Right, because we hadn't seen each other for a while. Right.
He didn't ask you about his sister.
Right.
What did you say?
Well, I was explaining the story. I said,
is there something wrong with you? And if you don't remember, you say, I don't remember.
I do remember. I was telling the story about...
I don't want to hear I was telling the story. I want to hear
exactly.
I want to hear exactly what you said to him.
I said that his sister and I are no longer friends, and that it was because over a converter box that I went to her house. I had texted her and her roommate over the converter box for the week prior to the digital conversion. I was moving into a new house and I wanted a converter box. And I went over, and I got no response from text messages or voicemails or whatever. I went over to her house. It was not in the middle of the day. I was actually on my way home from work, and I was not drunk. I knocked on the door, I got no response. I heard her inside on the phone. I'm like, I hear you on the phone.
Are you telling me the story, or is this what you're telling him?
Telling you.
I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you said to the defendant on March 4th.
I said, you know, we're not friends anymore, and she's a...
That's what you said.
Yeah.
And what happened after you said that to him?
Well, I looked down on the ground, and then as I was looking up, I saw this hook come across me and punch me right in the jaw. I've got a picture of the wound, if you'd like to see it.
I will in a moment. Now I know what he said to you. Your sister and I aren't friends anymore, and he used an unpleasant word in describing her.
2 unpleasant words.
2 together.
Yes, ma'am.
And that made you very
Angry.
angry. And what did you do?
I said, look, you know, I don't need to hear these things from you. Maybe you should just leave to enjoy myself. No need to get in any problems.
And that's what you want me to believe you said to him?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't.
He called her in a C word. I told him he should leave and leave me alone.
Why didn't you just walk away?
I don't know.
Keep going.
He then wasn't too happy with me saying that and
He
lunged
wasn't
at
so
me.
happy with you saying what? You're making up a story.
He wasn't happy that I said he should leave and that he should leave me alone. He wasn't happy with my sister. He was drunk, in my opinion. He seemed very drunk, and he lunged at me to push me. And when he did, I then felt I could defend myself, so I
Good.
pushed him back.
Now I got your story, which I don't believe. Can I please see your photographs? Nice punch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I never did punch him.
This didn't come from a fall.
That's all I know. He could have gotten that from someone else. I hadn't even been drinking, too, so...
Right.
And later today,
All that doesn't sound kosher to me, sir. What you're relaying to me doesn't sound as if it happened. So why don't you retool your answer to me? Retool it and make it truthful. Okay.
Jonathan Fix says former friend Mike Willem punched him in the mouth at a bar. Mike claims he only pushed Jonathan. It was after Jonathan pushed him first.
How many stitches did it take to close
5.
it? Mr. Fix, let me tell you that he's not allowed to put his hands on you in the way he did. And I don't believe his story. I believe he got very angry when you cursed at his sister. He came up, he gave you a hug. That's what you told me. You embraced each other. You hadn't seen each other in a long time. And according to you, the first thing that you did was you said to him, not friends with your sister anymore. She's a blank blank.
Right.
His reaction had to have been, especially after a few 25-cent beers, to punch you in the mouth.
Yes.
Not to say, would you please leave? I don't want to be with you anymore. Please leave. That would not be a normal reaction of somebody who's been at a bar for at least an hour and a half drinking and who has somebody calling his sister a series of names that are unpleasant and unkind after he's a little loose. The reaction and the evidence is that he punched you. Now, aside from the fact that the story that he's trying to tell me today was that he punched you in self-defense because you pushed him first. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I never did punch him.
This didn't come from a fall.
That's all I know. He could have gotten that from someone else. I hadn't even been drinking, too, so...
Right. I don't believe you, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty drunk. He was pretty drunk.
It was very aggressive. He was drunk.
And I had just gotten there. I had 2 beers in me.
He called her and a C word.
But I didn't use the C word.
I told him to leave. He felt that that wasn't enough.
I just said the B word.
So he pushed me, and I pushed him back.
And I apologize.
I was drug out.
Yeah, don't call people's sisters a...
and now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Coleman versus Duns. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Brittany Coleman is suing her former friend. 18-year-old Gideon Dunns for a loan to secure a venue for a fashion show, bank fees, and the cost of a ticket to the show.
How old are you, Miss Coleman?
I'm 23 years old, ma'am.
What do you do for a living?
I actually was taking care of my grandmother as an in-home care provider.
So you're unemployed?
Right now, yes.
Did you go to school?
I do.
What kind of school do you go to?
A community college.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying for medical assisting.
How many credits do you take?
I'm currently enrolled in 9 for the summer.
Who supports you?
Right now, I support myself. I get unemployment for taking care of my grandmother.
You don't get unemployment for taking care of your grandmother.
Well, that's what it was from. My unemployment was from that.
So your grandmother had been paying you to take care of
Yes.
her, and then she fired you?
Not fired me, someone else, another family member is now currently taking care of her.
And how long were you taking care of her?
2 years.
Who's taking care of her now?
Her daughter.
That's not your mother.
No.
How much was she paying you?
It was from in-home supportive services, and they were paying...
What does it mean, in-home supportive services?
It's like an agency, a county agency, that pays you to take care of her.
What's wrong with your grandmother?
She has Alzheimer's.
So an agency paid by the government
Yes.
pays your grandmother,
Yes,
or pays whoever takes care of her.
yes,
And that's what you were doing,
yes.
just getting the whole picture,
Okay,
which I now have.
okay.
You still didn't tell me how much you were receiving from this agency.
It was $11.34 an hour.
How much a week?
It was about $1,400, $1,500 every 2 weeks.
Tell me about this alleged loan that you made to the defendant for a fashion show.
The defendant was a friend of mine, and he called me. He said he was having a fashion show in Sacramento, California, where we reside, and he said he was not able to pay for the place where he was having the fashion show, that he was short on ticket sales, and that his sales hadn't gone through, and everybody that was supposed to have bought a ticket had not, and so he was short. So he needed some money to help pay for the venue. So he called me one day and asked me if I had a bank account, and I told him that I did, and I asked why, and he explained to me that he needed me to take out some payday loans to help him pay for the venue. So on the day of September 29th of 2009, I told him that I would, and he said, under the stipulation that he would pay all the loans back by October 29th of 2009, that he would pay all the loans back in full, and that none of the money that was in my account would be removed or taken out, and that I would have nothing to worry about.
Go.
First off, what she is saying, there's some truth in parts of it, but in most part, there is no truth in it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After you gave him money, which you claim was a loan, to get the venue, he charged you $25 for a ticket. Is that what you want me to believe?
Yes.
Yes, I don't.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Brittany Coleman says former friend Gideon Dunns scammed her on a loan to secure a venue for a fashion show.
Go.
We did not meet till October because we actually met through a mutual friend of ours named Keila.
We met before October.
Don't interrupt him.
Okay.
So we met through a mutual friend, and she found out that I was a fashion designer. And we had similar interests. You know, she said that she wants to be a fashion designer and or an actress. So I said, okay, that sounds good. You know, she asked when was the fashion show, when would it take place? I gave her the dates. I said that yes, you know, it is true that I'm looking for, you know, investors, I guess you can say. And she said, well, since I'm into fashion, you know what I mean, can I help you out with it?
All that doesn't sound, let me tell you something, Mr. Dunn, doesn't sound kosher to me, sir. Her story doesn't sound kosher either, but your story, what you're relaying to me doesn't sound as if it happened. Those words were not expressed by this woman.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you retool your answer to me?
Retool it, basically.
Retool it and make it truthful.
Okay. Well, what I said is true, you know, because what she's saying that we were already friends and I called
Put
her
your
up.
hand down.
Why would I call someone up, Judge, and say...
I don't answer your questions.
Okay.
I don't answer your question.
Okay, well, I'll restate it. I would never call anyone up to say, can you make some payday loans for me when at the time I was unemployed? My mother was taking care of all the expenses for the fashion show. So it sounds very, very untruthful that I would call her up before I didn't even know her and tell her to do this.
Tell me how it came about that she gave you any money. If you don't remember the exact conversation, say to me, I don't remember.
Oh, I do remember it.
Then tell me,
We were at a mutual friend of ours' house, and we were sitting there talking, and she actually introduced us. And we had the conversation that I am a fashion designer, and my friend said, well, tell her about the show that you're putting on. Explain to her about the show. She said that she wanted to help out. So I said, okay, what do you want to do as far as helping out? She said, well, what do you need help with? I said, I need help with the venue and with ticket sales. I gave her a portion of the tickets, and I had a portion of the tickets.
Okay. How many tickets did you give her?
I gave her 250 tickets.
Wow. And how many tickets did you keep?
250.
Do you have any of the tickets?
I have the flyer. The ticket was just a smaller thing like this.
Okay, can I see that, please?
I have a copy of the ticket.
I'd like to see it.
Yes.
Okay, and how much money did she give you?
She gave me $800.
And what was the $800 for?
The $800 was to go towards some of the tickets and also the venue.
And when were you supposed to get to a break-even point?
I want to say it was like November 10th was the date that we met back up to see how many tickets we had both sold. She came back.
How many tickets did you sell?
I sold 150 tickets.
And how many tickets did she sell?
None.
Did she still have all the tickets in her possession?
I'm pretty sure she did, because we were supposed to come back and see how many tickets she sold after I pushed the date back.
Ms. Coleman, where are the tickets that you had?
He never gave me any tickets, ma'am. He only gave me the one that I purchased, which was $25.
Why would you purchase a ticket from him?
Because he was a friend, and he told me that he was throwing a fashion show. So I was going in support of him.
When did you purchase the ticket? On what date?
I'm not sure of the exact date that I purchased the ticket.
Was it before or after you gave him money?
No, this is after.
After you gave him money?
Yes.
Which you claim was a loan to get the venue?
Yes.
Did him a big favor?
Yes.
He charged you $25 for a ticket. Is that what you want me to believe?
Yes.
Yes, I don't. Your whole story. I don't believe his either. I think it was something sort of a mix. Anyway,
the fashion show never actually took place, Judge, because the defendant never came on her part of the bargain. That's why it didn't take place, because this was a business venture that she decided to come up on with me. And when it was time to show face on what happened, on what took place, like where was the ticket sales, she brought nothing to the table. And as I pushed back the date and said, okay, let's meet again and see how many tickets you sold, there was an excuse of there's been a lot going on, so she still sold no tickets. And I understand the money that she's saying, that she came out of pocket for, but let's speak about the money that I came, out of pocket for.
How many investors did you have?
I actually had a total of 4.
Mm-hmm. How much money are you collecting now for unemployment?
I gave $1,400 a month.
A month?
Yes.
And you get that because prior to that, you had been paid to take care of your grandmother
Yes.
by a state agency?
Yes.
And how long has your grandmother had Alzheimer's?
About 4 years.
Who took care of her before you?
Her daughter.
Which daughter?
The same one that's taking care of her currently.
And why did she stop?
Because she went off, she returned to school, and she wanted to take some other
And when she took off taking care of your grandmother, I assume she got unemployment as well?
Yes.
Goodbye. I don't believe you. Toodles. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Joseph claims Deputy Moeller was verbally abusive during a traffic stop.
Order. All rise. That's case number 235 on the calendar, the matter of Moeller versus Nzunza.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Nzunza, the plaintiff is a police officer, and he gave you 2 tickets, moving violations. On what date?
February 11th, 2010.
It is his complaint that the complaint that you filed against him for rude conduct was unfounded. And while the police department conducted an investigation and found that the allegations were unfounded, that report will remain in his file. And he believes that since you maliciously filed that police report, he should be compensated. That's what your case is about,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to start with you, since it's your report that's really the subject of this litigation. What time were you pulled over by Officer Moeller?
7:35 a.m., Your Honor.
Where were you going?
To work, Your Honor.
And I gather from your answer, sir, that you heard or saw Officer Moeller at some point and did not immediately pull over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
How far did you travel before you pulled over?
Less than half a mile.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're going to explain to me why you didn't pull over, irrespective of whether he was going to give you a ticket or whether you had done anything wrong. You saw him, and for a half mile, which is quite a distance, you didn't pull over. You want to explain why?
Yes, Your Honor. There have been at least a half a dozen car crashes, including one fatality on Hesperia Road. When I saw his lights behind me, I was in the flow of traffic. He zeroed in on me, and there are various signs along that road that say no parking. I did not feel safe. I just did not think it was appropriate to pull over at that point. I was trying to avoid an accident, and so between 10 and 15 seconds, I ended up pulling over into a parking lot.
What did you get a ticket for?
I was cited for speeding and also failure to yield, Your Honor.
How fast were you going?
Somewhere between 57 and around 62 miles per hour.
And what was the zone?
45, Your Honor.
So there's no question you were speeding.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'm going to jump for a moment. You also got a ticket for failing to pull over for an emergency vehicle, which clearly you did. Now, you could have pled guilty and paid both fines by mail. In order for you to appear, you had to plead not guilty.
Correct, Your Honor.
So you pled not guilty and you appeared in court.
Yes. Can I explain something on that point?
No.
Okay.
When you appeared in court, did you have a hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you found guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
So then I don't have to go into any of the particulars. A court already found you guilty and you paid your fine. On what date did you go to court?
Around July. I'm not sure exactly what the date was.
July of 2010.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date did you file the complaint that is the subject of this case?
The following day, Your Honor.
So you did not file a formal complaint in February?
I went down to the station, but not formally.
My question is, you did not file a formal complaint in February?
Correct.
March?
Correct.
April?
Correct.
May?
Correct, Your Honor.
June?
Correct.
The entire month of July until after the hearing?
Correct.
That doesn't sound good for you, Mr. Anuza.
Okay.
So far, do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
You weren't offended enough to file a formal complaint until after you were found guilty. That would tick me off if I was an officer. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
You understand why?
Yes, I do.
Now, I want you to explain to me what it was between February 2010 and July of 2010 that somehow got you all worked up. You had February, March, April, May, June, and part of July, 6 months. What was it during that 6-month period, sir, that got you all worked up? Just a second. Make sure it's something that I'm going to find credible.
Okay, Your Honor. Well, I'm just going to tell you the truth. The same day after I received the 2 citations, I went down to his superior and spoke to the sergeant, and he received...
Don't tell me what you said to the sergeant.
No, I'm not.
Or what the sergeant said to you.
Okay. But he did hand me the complaint process guidelines.
So you had the complaint process.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All I can say is that, you know, I'm a professional. I'm extremely busy. My boss...
Not an excuse.
Okay.
Now, do you think that if you had been found not guilty or if Officer Moeller failed to appear, you would have gone down and filed a complaint?
Yes.
I want to see the complaint you filed.
Yes, ma'am.
Because actually, this is going to be a very, very simple case for me to do. Why is this dated June 14th, 2010?
That must have been when I turned it in, Your Honor.
No, you crossed out a date. You put in June 14th, 2010.
I had been...
There's a date crossed out.
Yes, ma'am. I had begun filling it out prior, and since time had passed by, I decided just to change the date because...
Hey, you told me that you didn't go down and file the complaint until the day after your trial, which is in July. This says June 15th.
I'm mistaken, Your Honor.
What do you mean you're mistaken?
I'm mistaken. My
About
trial,
what?
About the date of the trial. It must have been the day before that, Your Honor.
So it was in June?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for the inaccuracy on that.
You see, it doesn't have much impact on you, sir, because all you did was go down and file something. It didn't have any impact on your career. It only had an impact on somebody else's career, so the date wasn't that important to you. We are beginning to understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You tell him you want him to change the color of the car because you say, my car is silver, it's not tan. Who cares? You were being a wise guy, a speeding wise guy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Deputy Sheriff Brian Mueller says motorist Joseph Inzunza filed a false complaint against him, alleging he was verbally abusive during a traffic stop.
Now, was June 14th a work day or not a work day?
I believe it was a work day, Your Honor.
And you filed this complaint the next day. So did you take a little time off from work the next day to go down and file the complaint?
It just took about 10 minutes. It was during my lunch break.
My question to you was, did you take some time off to go down and file this complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were too busy February, March, April, May, and up until June 15th to file the complaint. All of a sudden, you find 2 days in which you have some spare time. That's interesting. We're beginning to understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Somebody else's career is just important as yours. What do you do for a living?
I'm a school psychologist.
Yeah. Your complaint first says that the officer came up, and when you finally did pull over, he was red-faced and he was screaming at you, when I tell you to pull over, you pull over. And you said, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. And he responded, if I don't think it's safe, I will tell you, now pull over. And then you pulled over into a parking lot.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
As I was entering the parking lot of the little country cafe, I pulled into the driveway and stopped because he immediately got next to my car. I rolled down my window and he started screaming his head off.
What did he say?
He said what I had written there, which was pull over.
What did he say?
He said, pull over. When I say stop, you pull over immediately.
Right. And?
Now, pull over. And I said, that's what I'm trying to do.
So you answered him back, and he said?
And then he motioned for me to pull over, so I pulled into a spot.
Now he pulls over. Come on, keep talking.
Okay, then I pulled into a parking spot, and then he parks behind me, blocking traffic of the driveway. And then he gets off his motorcycle and walks up to my vehicle.
Correct.
And then he comes into where my window would be, the frame of my door. And his face is in my car almost. And he's in my window and just screaming like a maniac.
No. I want you to tell me what he said.
He continued saying...
No, I want you to tell. So far, he hasn't said anything wrong. When I tell you to pull over, you pull over. And you probably said to him, I didn't think it was safe. And he says, I'll tell you if I don't think it's safe. When I tell you to pull over, you pull over. Perfect. Now tell me what he was saying to you.
He continued yelling. Again.
What did he say?
He was saying the same thing. He was saying, pull over. When I said pull over, whenever there's an emergency vehicle behind you, you pull over immediately. I don't care if it's safe. I don't care if it's not. You pull over when I say. And then he stopped.
Just a second. Say that again, what you just said to me.
When there's an emergency vehicle behind you, you pull over. I don't care if it's safe. If it's not safe, I'll tell you to pull over.
No, now you're making it up as you're going along, because that's not what you say in your answer.
If you don't feel it's safe...
That's not what you say in your answer, sir.
He said, I don't care if you don't feel it's safe. I'll tell you when to pull over.
That's not what you even say here, sir.
I'm just trying to recall exactly what I wrote.
Well, you recall it better now, or you recall it better 6 months ago? Is my question.
I recalled it better 6 months ago.
You recalled it better 6 months ago, when it was fresh in your mind. That's why you're supposed to file a complaint as soon as it happens, not when you're thinking about it later, when you're making it up as you're going along.
That was a mistake.
What you said was, in a quote, if I don't think it's safe, I will tell you. Now pull over. He didn't say to you, I don't care if it's safe or not.
Okay. I misquoted.
That's a big difference.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's why you're supposed to do things when they're fresh in your mind, not when you're mad because you were found guilty.
Okay.
Now, according to you, after he was finished yelling, he stepped back, took a deep breath, and began to audio tape our conversation. Now, when he began to audio tape your conversation, was he also rude to you?
He continued to be rude.
That's what I want to know. Tell me how he was rude when he was audio taping your conversation.
Well, he refused to change the color of, he wrote that the color of my car was tan, it's silver. He refused to change it to the correct color. And also because of the way he was yelling and screaming and treating me, I already was thinking about talking to his superior. So I wanted to know his name. So, but it looks like, you can't even read what it says. It says his name is Moeller, and it looks like it said M-U-F-R-A.
Did it have a shield number on it?
Yes, but I couldn't see it.
You couldn't see it?
I just couldn't, I mean...
Now, officer, all I want you to do is play for me when he starts to argue with you about changing the color of the car and your name. That I want to hear.
If you give me a moment, I'll get to that.
Absolutely.
pull to the right. Whatever you're gonna write, so I can Sir, thanks for your patience. Here's your information back. All right, green side unsafe speed for road conditions 67 and a 45. Locked in on the laser at 253 feet south of where I was at. You're also being cited for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle. Your court date is April 16th at 8:30. Night court is April 1st at 4 o'clock at the Victorville Courthouse. Need you to sign here in the red box. You're signing for the promise to appear. You are not admitting guilt by signing.
Do you want to put the correct color of my car? It's not tan.
Okay, that's fine.
You want it cuter, it's for silver.
Okay, you need to sign in the red box, sir.
But the information's not correct.
Okay, you can debate that in court.
Things that are not correct? I mean, does this look tan? I don't know.
In my glasses, it does. Sir, you need to sign in the red box.
What does it say? M-C-U?
Yes, that's my last name. You need to sign in the red box.
Well, I know. Can I read something?
I've explained to you what you're being cited for, so you need to sign in the red box, sir.
M-U-L-E-R?
I'm giving you a lawful order to sign in the red box. If you do not sign in the red box, you're going to go to jail for resisting, delaying, or obstructing an officer. You're going to get a copy of the citation, and you can review the citation. You were explained what you were being cited for. My name is right there. It's M-O-L-E-R. Thanks for your patience. You're free to go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What I sort of found out here in California, everybody thinks that everybody else has to surround them with their arms and give them a whole bunch of kumbaya and love. I come from Brooklyn. If a cop's giving you a ticket, he doesn't give you a whole lot of loving along with the ticket.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Deputy Sheriff Brian Mueller says motorist Joseph Inzunza filed a false complaint against him after a traffic stop. Joseph is alleging that Deputy Mueller was verbally abusive.
Now,
Your Honor, can I say one thing, reference the dates?
Yes.
That he's incorrect on. The court case was on June 15th.
Yeah.
Mr. Inzunza filed the complaint. It's down here at the bottom on that same date at 1:47 in the afternoon. So he filed it the same day of the court case. And I have the subpoena here if you'd like to see that.
I would. Mr. Anusa, did you go to court on April 16th?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
I wasn't sure that I was actually guilty of failure to yield because I felt I was just trying to be safe. So I just pled not guilty on that particular citation.
When you went to trial, did you go to trial on the speeding and the failure to yield?
Yes, both, Your Honor.
Both, so you had to have pled not guilty on both.
Yes, yes, you are correct.
Officer Moeller says that you filed the complaint and he has a copy of it and it's signed in on the same date that you were found guilty. So it wasn't the next day.
That was inaccurate. It was the same day.
You had a lot of inaccuracies, sir. You're a school psychologist, Mr. Inus?
Yes, Your Honor.
In what kind of school?
A high school, Your Honor.
You deal with boys and girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's assume you were counseling a 14-year-old freshman, and she went home and said to her mother that you inappropriately exposed yourself to her, which wasn't true. And they did an investigation. The investigation was unfounded, that this was a young girl who regularly makes those kinds of accusations if she wants to get out of class, if she wants an excuse for not doing something. You think that that would stay with you for a long time?
Yes, it would.
You think that that might affect the way the school system deals with you?
Definitely.
Even though it was unfounded?
Definitely.
That was unfounded. Now, let's assume that she made that kind of an accusation, and all you did was lean over her shoulder in a very innocent way, put your arm around and say, don't worry, everything is going to be okay. So she said it was inappropriate. And you had to go through an investigation because she said you inappropriately touched her. Do you understand where we're going, Mr. Iannusa?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes your conduct can affect somebody else's professional career, even though legally and within the workplace it's unfounded. It stays with you because people look at you differently. They view your progress differently. They view your promotion sometimes differently. They said, look, not founded, but you know, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So if we have two choices, if we can promote Iannuzzi to something or somebody else, why should we get involved with somebody that had this inappropriate complaint, even though it was unfounded? We understanding each other, sir?
Yes, we do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, what I find fascinating, Mr. Ryanusa, is that you had this very well put together complaint that clearly you had had it on the back burner for some time, and you could have filed it at any time.
Yes.
You chose not to file it until after you were convicted. That doesn't sit well with me.
Okay.
You got it?
I do understand, but because it was deemed unfounded doesn't mean that it's not valid. I mean, it's the
not
truth.
valid. He doesn't have to talk to you like your mother. Where do you live?
In Hesperia.
You know, because what I sort of found out here in California, and I'm not from California, everybody thinks that everybody else has to surround them with their arms and give them a whole bunch of kumbaya and love. You know, I come from Brooklyn. If a cop's giving you a ticket, he doesn't give you a whole lot of loving along with the ticket. People out here in California seem to think that everybody's got to love you, including a cop giving you a ticket. I don't understand that. I mean, I think that his tone to you was clipped and lacking warmth and empathy, but unprofessional. By the way, you tell him you want him to change the color of the car because you say, my car is silver, it's not tan. Who cares? You were being a wise guy, a speeding wise guy. So what do you want from him, Officer Mola?
Well, Your Honor, I think he should pay the full $5,000. This stays in my file for 7 years. I've been a deputy sheriff for 5 years. 5 years is when we start the promotion process.
Have you ever had a complaint before?
Never.
In 5 years?
In 5 years.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, 22-year-old Amy Dixon for vandalizing their cars and for stealing property.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Downing, Wiedenheft versus Dixon.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing, Judge?
Good.
Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Your name is?
Lance Wiedenheft.
This was your girlfriend for a while?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Downing, this was a dear friend of yours for a long time. It is your claim that she has some property that you loaned to her.
Yes, ma'am.
You want it back. And additionally, that she damaged, because she had a tiff with the two of you about something, that she damaged both of your cars. You want to tell me when and where this happened?
Yes, ma'am. On March 13th, Amy was out with her mother, and she came back to the house. She texted Lance saying that she was...
What house did she come back?
My house.
Was she living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had she been living with you?
She actually, in January, she gave me a phone call and said that she cheated on her husband and she was pregnant. And he kicked her out and she had no place for her and her 2 kids to go. So my fiance and I allowed her to come and stay with us for a little bit to try to help her get her back on her feet. And about a month after she lived with us, she ended up contacting the neighbor next door and moved next door. And
moved next door?
Next door to our condo.
When you moved into the other apartment, who did you rent that from?
I was under the understanding that her boyfriend, Brendan, was part of the condo, like, board or whatever they call it, and I was under the assumption that I could stay in that condo and they were going to protect me and I could stay there for a couple months.
So what you're telling me is you were a squatter in a vacant apartment?
They were supposed to be taken care of.
Listen to me. How old are you?
22.
How many children do you have?
2.
You have a husband?
No.
Did you have a husband?
At the time, yes.
Nobody else is supposed to take care of you, so you were a squatter in an empty apartment.
They were renting it to me.
They were renting it to you even though they didn't own it?
Right.
Now you can stand. Move. You're the fiancé?
Yes, ma'am.
You're part of the homeowners association?
I am on the condo board, yes, ma'am.
Very good. This empty apartment, what was the unit number?
The unit number is 18, ma'am.
And what is your unit number?
20, ma'am.
Who owns unit 18?
It would be an owner of Shlogovic. He's an Italian.
He's an Italian.
Yes,
and where does he live?
Fort Lauderdale, ma'am.
So he doesn't live in this unit?
No, ma'am.
Who contacted him in Fort Lauderdale about Miss Dixon moving into his empty apartment?
Miss Dixon stated to us that she had contacted them and gotten a key from him and then
From
moved in.
him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Up. Put your hand down. Got it. So Miss Dixon was a squatter.
Correct.
In an empty apartment.
Correct.
That you knew was going to be empty because the owner lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Sit. You would get to it eventually. Now, how many months did you live in this apartment?
About 8 weeks.
Was it empty of furniture when you moved in?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you sit on?
At the time, Melinda and her boyfriend had extra
What
furniture.
did you sit on when you moved in?
Their furniture.
What furniture?
Their extra furniture that they had put in storage.
What furniture requires a sofa, a chair, a bed? Name the furniture.
Couches.
Couches, how many?
2.
What else?
That's it. Everything else after that point I had gotten myself.
From where?
Like the used furniture stores.
2 couches, what about a television?
The television she had given to me.
I just asked you where you got it from. So you got 2 couches and 1 television from Miss Downing. What else did you get from Miss Downing?
Little knickknacks.
Knickknacks like what?
Like candle holders and placemats.
What about a bed?
No.
Where did you get the bed from?
I didn't have a bed.
Where did your children sleep?
They had their little kids' mattresses.
Where'd they get them from?
My mother.
Lance was actually living with her at the time, and she did not have anything for her boys to sleep on. They actually slept on the floor or the couch.
You were living with her?
I still had my own place back up in Stewart, though. I was just staying down there. We were getting in a relationship. I was staying there for about a month, and then things went bad.
What did you sleep on when you stayed with her?
I brought my own mattress down. I had an extra mattress, an air mattress I brought down for us to sleep on. And they slept usually on the couch. The kids.
2 children?
Yeah.
Now, Miss Dixon, where are the 2 couches?
When I left the condo, I left them there.
Did you ever come back for them?
No.
What about the TV?
The TV was never... The TV was broken, and I left that.
What did you do with it?
I left it there.
There were 2 TVs, and she damaged one of them, and the second one she did take with her.
No.
Okay. Now, I want somebody to tell me, did you retrieve the couches?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
They, one couch was stained extremely bad.
Fine, so you didn't retrieve it?
Correct.
That's your problem. Now, was your boyfriend living with you, your fiancé living with you at the time that he allowed Miss Dixon to be a squatter in this apartment?
He didn't allow her to
Sure
stay
he did.
there.
He gave me the key.
Sure he did. Absolutely did. No question in my mind, he did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They took away your children, so you take care of his children when he's working, and your brother is taking care of your children court-placed. Is that what you're telling me? In the state of Florida.
And later today.
You think you're smarter than me?
No.
These idiots think they're smarter than me? Huh?
Wiedenheft claim Amy Dixon vandalized both of their cars and refuses to return furniture and clothing.
Okay. When did you stop dating Miss Dixon?
What was it? March 13th.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that, sir.
Well, I was working a lot, and it was late. I was working, and she called me. She was going out drinking. Within a month, I really don't want to put up with a girl that just goes out drinking without me whenever to bars. So I said, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to go grab my stuff, and, you know, we'll talk later. And she was, you know, intoxicated or whatever. So I was working. I was done. Go grab my stuff and put it in my car, and then I went next door to their house. And that's when she came back all drunk and mad, trying to call me. I wouldn't talk to her because I don't want to deal with that.
Listen to me carefully. Where were her children?
A babysitter was at the house.
The state has now taken her kids away.
How old a babysitter?
She was 16.
Yeah, she was young.
You know, doesn't he speak?
Sorry.
Is there something wrong with him?
Sorry.
What was the name of the babysitter? Do you know?
I don't recall.
Her name was Heather.
Are your 2 children still with you, Miss Dixon?
No, ma'am.
Where are they?
They are with my brother.
Are they court-placed with your brother?
Yes.
And where does your brother live?
in Daytona Beach.
When did the court place the children with your brother?
3 months ago.
Were you court-ordered into any program?
No, ma'am.
Well, what do you have to do in order to get your children back?
I had to do 12 hours of anger management, domestic violence classes, and batterers classes, and I had to take a 6-hour parenting program.
Did you take the parenting program?
Yes, I completed everything.
So when are you going to get your children back?
September 27th.
And who is this?
This is my boyfriend.
Is he the father of either one of these children?
No, ma'am.
Are you living with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
3.
How old?
10, 5, and 2.
Who do they live with?
Us.
Great. So they took away, I just trying to wrap my head around this. They took away your children, so you take care of his children when he's working, and your brother is taking care of your children court-placed. I just get my head around the basics of this. Is that what you're telling me? In the state of Florida. Okay. You want to get to the damage to your car on March 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm looking at him, not you. Go.
Well, on March 13th, like I said, I broke over there, went and got my stuff, went next door, was just relaxing. She kept calling me, I wouldn't answer, didn't want to talk to her, she was intoxicated, I don't need that. So she texted me saying she was going to mess up my car if I didn't talk to her. So we heard the window break.
Not we.
Well,
you.
Yeah, I heard.
I mean, I just want to know if you didn't hear it, then I'll hear from another witness.
Yeah. No, I heard the window break. Melinda went out front to see what was going on. I didn't want to go out.
Who went out front?
I did.
Melinda.
Okay. Miss Downing, when you went out front, what did you see?
I went downstairs and I saw Amy throwing rocks, and it was hitting Lance's windshield. And she was screaming and yelling, and she proceeded to then attack her mom. And then after she attacked her mom, she came after me. And
what was your mother doing there?
My mother was visiting for the weekend, and I did not attack my mother.
Just a sec. Your mother was listen to me carefully, Miss Dixon.
Yes.
Very carefully. Your mother was visiting you for a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Where was your mother on the evening of March 13th?
She was with me.
Where had you been?
Me and my mother went out to dinner.
So you and your mother went out to dinner, leaving the children home with Heather.
Right.
Got it. And what time did you and your mother get home?
About 11 o'clock.
That's a long dinner.
We left at like 8:39.
That's a long dinner.
My mom and I haven't spoken months.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
they don't rent you a car with a United States Uniformed Services card, identification and privilege, that you can buy on 14th Street in Manhattan. Do we understand
That's
each
a
other?
valid United States military
Do we
ID.
understand each other?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Melinda Downing and Lance Wiedenheft claim Amy Dixon vandalized both of their cars and refuses to return furniture and clothing.
Okay. Can I see an estimate for the glass on your windshield, please?
And I also have pictures of his windshield.
I'd like to see it. Okay. Now, I want to know what damage you claim to your car.
Amy came back on April 3rd and actually keyed the side of my car when she came back to get the rest of the belongings.
Well, tell me about that, please.
We were actually not at the house. We have a video camera set up
To prove that I did it.
And
up. When you say you have a video camera,
just like threatening. I don't have actual proof showing that she did it.
She probably did it, but it's very hard to prove unless you bring me the video. Do you understand? Okay. Now, aside from the 2 couches that I gather are old stained couches, what items do you claim she stole from you?
She stole 2 couches.
No, forget couches.
2 TVs.
Forget TVs.
A side table.
What side table?
And my clothes.
Forget your clothes. What side table?
It was just a side table put in between the couches.
Did you take that with you?
No, ma'am.
That's all nonsense. You owe him $181 to fix his windshield. Do you understand?
I didn't break his windshield.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did. So you have to pay for his windshield. But that's it. I would suggest that you concentrate your time, Miss Dixon, on getting your children home. From no children to 5 children is a big step. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand. You have to do what's right for your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't there a question in your mind if the state has intervened to take away children? So whether or not this is an appropriate caretaker for your 2 young children?
I know she's a good caretaker. I've been around her.
So the state of Florida was incorrect?
I think so, yes.
Why do you think the state of Florida removed? Do you think that there was a conspiracy with our brother?
No.
Well, tell me why you think the state of Florida...
I think there was some accusations against her that she wasn't being a good mother.
Like what?
That's what her ex-boyfriend or her husband or whatever said, is from what I hear.
You mean you think that the state of Florida is going to remove children based upon accusations from an ex-husband?
Yes.
Has the state of Florida been to your home for a home visit?
No.
So the caseworker is aware, to your knowledge, or unaware, that Miss Dixon is caring for other young children?
I'm not sure. I haven't spoke with her caseworker.
Oh, goodbye, goodbye. You owe him $181. State of Florida is now aware. It's up to the state of Florida. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm ready to move on.
I just hope Amy learns her lesson from everything after this.
Her boyfriend actually handcuffed me and pushed me down the stairs.
I'm a criminal justice major.
Then I'll never hear from her again.
I'm going to be now more aware of what I allow people to come into my home and do now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Castro versus Ahmed, step forward.
Margaret Castro is suing her former friend, Basim Ahmed, for unpaid rental car fees.
Ms. Castro, is your claim that the defendant owes you money for a rental car that you rented in your name for him?
Correct.
All right. And you know him for how long?
Since we were children, we lived across the street from each other.
And from what company did you rent this car for him?
Dollar Rent-A-Car.
Dollar?
Yes.
I'd like to see the contract.
This is a bill and everything that Dollar...
I don't want a bill. I want the contract that you signed for the car from Dollar.
I have it. It's in my purse.
Perfect. Get it.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
All right, Ms. Castro, now I'd like to see the rental agreement. What's your name?
Margaret Castro.
Well, that's not who this is.
Oh, Margaret Machine. I have 2 last names. I'm married.
Did you sign this?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to read what it says under additional drivers. What does it say, additional drivers?
There's not supposed to be no additional drivers.
Excuse me?
There's not supposed to be any additional drivers.
That's what it says. You think I'm going to compensate you because you gave him a car when you told Dollar Rent-A-Car that there were going to be no additional drivers and he doesn't have the driver's license?
Well, when we rented the vehicle, he showed me a valid driver's license, and also I had retaken the car away from him. I want you to show me your valid driver's license in the name Castro. It's in my purse. Can I go back?
Yes. Show me a valid driver's license in the name Castro. Yeah.
Can I say something?
No. Not to worry, good. Sir, you look like you're really going to come out on top on this case. Don't speak.
You're talking to me.
You think you're smarter than me?
No.
These idiots think they're smarter than me?
Idiots?
Huh?
Idiots. Who's an idiot?
Valid driver's license in the name Castro. Valid driver's license in the name, whatever the name on the contract is.
I have a million.
Don't give it to me. You think you're smarter than I am?
No.
Goodbye. Let me explain something to you, madam. According to your complaint, which I read very carefully, you had an agreement with the defendant to rent a car for him. You rented a car for him according to you, and he was supposed to pay you for it. And you also told the car company that you were going to be the only driver, whether your name was Castro. And this is not a valid driver's license. This is an identification card. That's different. We understand each other. They don't rent you a car with a United States Uniformed Services card, identification and privilege, that you can buy on 14th Street in Manhattan. Do we understand each other?
That's a valid United States military ID.
Do we understand each other? Very good. Goodbye, Miss Castro.
No, but wait a minute.
Goodbye.
No.
Orders are excused. You may step out.
So what happened now?
Out the back door to your right. That's
just
what
a
happened.
second. Bert, I want to tell I want to tell him.
And the loan.
Quiet. I want to tell you what happened, sir. You won.
Thank you.
Out the back door to your right.
Wait a minute. What about the loan and the tickets that he owes me?
Pay them.
Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yes, case number 241 on the calendar, the matter of Casno versus Salinas.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Casno, facts of the case are relatively simple and not in dispute. What kind of car do you own?
Wasn't his, a 2006 BMW 325i.
And you brought it to the defendant's shop for the purposes of doing some repairs.
Correct. The vehicle had been vandalized and needed body work.
Brought it to Mr. Salinas' shop and you left it there. On what date did you leave it there?
The 20th of March 2010 at about 8:15 in the morning.
Is that correct so far, Mr. Salinas?
That's correct.
Then your car was involved in a hit and run.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date?
The same day.
Do you know what time?
I'm going to say roughly 7:30, Your Honor. I wasn't there. So.
In the evening?
In the evening.
How were you notified that your car was involved with a hit and run?
Well, my wife and I were at home and heard a loud knock at our front door, looked out, and there was a Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy at the door. He demanded to know my name and where my car was, and I subsequently learned that the vehicle had been involved in a hit-and-run accident.
Do you know what kind of a hit and run?
Again, I'm getting this...
Involving a pedestrian and another car?
No, it was another vehicle, Your Honor. I have the driver of that other vehicle in court with me.
Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Stephanie Delgado.
You were involved in an accident on the 20th of March?
Yes, I was the other driver that hit the BMW.
You hit the BMW?
Well, he was making an unsafe left turn, and I was going straight on Sepulveda. And I guess he was going to get into a car accident with the car in the right lane, but he stepped on, well, he was trying to step on the brake, and once I viewed the whole scene, I tried stopping, but I couldn't. I hit the car, stepped out of the vehicle to check if the other driver was fine. Once I approached the vehicle, it was like gonna flee the scene. So I approached it and it took off with me. So
what do you mean it took off with you?
Like it dragged me.
Car dragged you?
Yes.
How far?
Like less than a block, like around the corner, kind of.
Were you injured?
Yeah, both knees. I had a back contusion, hip contusion, my ankles. I have pictures if you want to see them.
There are also photos of her vehicle.
To my vehicle.
I'd like to see that. Did you see the driver of the car?
Yes, it was a Hispanic driver, and small world, a friend of mine is actually cousins with the driver.
Do you know the driver's name?
I gave the whole information to my detective that was taking care of my case. So
Did they arrest the driver?
No, they were never capable of finding the driver. I actually have a sheet that states that they were never capable of finding who was a real driver or any information based on the driver.
But you knew who it was, or somebody you knew?
Yes, because my friend had approached me and she told me so.
You can't tell her what anybody told you. Okay. And Mr. Salinas, there was lots of damage done to the plaintiff's BMW. Thank you. You can sit down now. You say it's not your responsibility. I'm ready to hear that. You own the body shop that accepted his car.
Right.
Somehow, his car got off your lot and was involved in an accident.
Right.
So it was being driven in an unauthorized manner.
Yes.
You explain to me why that's not your fault.
First of all, the vehicle, when this guy took the vehicle, I was not in the shop.
I don't care whether you were in the shop or if you're on Mars.
Well, this guy, he doesn't work for me.
I don't care whether he doesn't work for you either.
The only problem that I see right here, it was my
I don't care what you see.
Insurance.
Listen to me. I don't care what you see. You own
Body shop.
A body shop.
Right.
You accepted his car for the purpose of repairing it, which is what your body shop is for.
Right.
Once you take his car into your shop, you are responsible for it. Now, I assume you have insurance. In this case, someone got the keys to his car.
Right.
That's as a result of your negligence, either yours or one of your employees.
He was not my employee.
Just a second. Somehow, Mr. Salinas, I believe, sir, that you're confused, and I'm trying to explain it to you. But you're going to have to do something that God really was gifted about. He gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Right.
So I want you to put on your 2 ears and listen with your 2 ears. One way or another, either because you gave someone the car keys or you allowed the car keys to be placed in a place where they could be taken by somebody in an unauthorized manner, it's your fault. You are responsible for the safekeeping of that car and its keys. If a burglar comes into your store and you have the keys locked up in a safe so that you have done everything that you can to safeguard those keys, maybe you could say, well, I can't be responsible because I've done everything that I can to safeguard those keys. I put them in a safe when I left my business. I locked them up. Someone came in with dynamite, opened up the safe, and took the keys. But that's not what happened.
Well, I can say I'm not responsible if anybody breaks to my place and takes a car. I'm responsible not having insurance, but not somebody trying to steal a car in my property.
Listen to me carefully. You were negligent. You or your employee was negligent in...
It was not my employee.
2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 ears. You or one of your agents left his keys in such a place that somebody got access to them and took his car. You are responsible for that because it's your place of business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, are you thick or what? I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer.
Right.
Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here.
And later today,
I was downstairs and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child cursing out my little girl, saying, wait, and she's holding my little girl up by 1 leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
What else?
There's an additional issue that I have a traffic collision report where the defendant apparently told the investigators that it was his employee that had taken the car.
Listen to me. It doesn't make any difference.
It makes a big difference.
No,
I was arrested by the police after that.
it doesn't make a difference. You permitted his car to be taken off your lot. I mean, are you thick or what? Listen to me. Have you ever been to a lawyer?
Yeah.
Just a second. I'm going to try to get it back to its basics to you, Mr. Salinas. What have you been to a lawyer for?
For different reasons.
Did you pay the lawyer money?
Yes, I did.
You paid the lawyer money for their expertise.
Right.
For their advice to you. You have never been to a lawyer that's smarter than I am. So what I'm trying to do, this is not a conversation we're having, Mr. Salinas.
Right.
I'm telling you what the law is, and you keep arguing with me. How stupid you would be to go to a lawyer. Listen, ears, Mr. Salinas. It would be the same thing if you went to a lawyer, gave him $5,000 to represent you in a business matter, and asked his advice, and he told you, and you're having a fight with him. Why would you pay a lawyer to have a fight with them? You're paying them money because you know that they're smarter than you are. I can't fix a carburetor in a car, and I can't get a ding out of the door. I would go to Eric, because that's your business, and that's your expertise.
Right.
This is not a discussion you and I are having. The facts are very simple. It's your responsibility. I'm telling you that as a lawyer.
Well,
that's my listen to me. That's my training.
I understand.
If somebody said to you, brought their car into you and you said, listen, it needs 2 coats of paint and it needs to be buffed out and it'll be good as new. And the person said, no, you can't do it. You have to buff it out 4 times and you have to take the paint off and you have to use a primer on it. You'd say to them, listen, you want to do that? Go to somebody else. I'm telling you, this is my expertise. This is what you have to do to get your door looking brand new. I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer. Right. Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here. I'm telling you, it's your responsibility. You did not safeguard his car. You allowed the keys to that car to fall into the hands of someone who drove it in an unauthorized way without his permission while it was in your custody. The law says it's your responsibility. Well, he's going to answer me again. No. He's going to answer me again. I don't understand it. Could I have been nicer? Could I have been nicer?
You did everything.
I did everything I could. I really did everything I could.
For the same reason I offered to fix the car for free.
Be quiet, Mr. Salinas.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go when you broke down the door.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
Now, I don't think that you drove the car that collided with his car that dragged her for a block. I don't think you did that at all. I don't care whether you did it. The car was your responsibility until he picked it up after you fixed it. You're an insurer for that car's safety. And if you, an employee, somebody else, negligently leaves the keys around so that somebody can take it, and they drive it, and they have an accident with it, it's your fault. And if instead of injuring her, it had killed her, she would sue your company, and she would win. And the fact that you may not have insurance is your problem, not my problem. How much it cost to fix your car?
Total out-of-pocket was $5,161.34.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't got nothing to say.
Well, obviously, I'm glad I was able to get some compensation for my losses.
Mr. Robert talked to the detective, and the detective, you know, they tried to put something together.
I had not had the police harass him. I knew really nothing about it. I could really offer nothing to the police because I wasn't there when the accident happened.
The only thing that I feel guilty was not having insurance in that time, but I'm not responsible for somebody can come and break in.
You got to do the best you can to try to protect yourself as a consumer, and sometimes can't always do everything.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soletic versus Brodalla. Step forward, please.
Matthew Soletic is suing his child's grandfather, Richard Brodalla, for the cost to make renovations to his home. Richard is countersuing for the cost of a car engine and a broken door.
Mr. Soletic, I assume that you and this lady were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And this lady is the daughter of this gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and this lady have a child together, a girl?
Yes, we do.
So that would make this gentleman your daughter's grandfather?
Correct.
For a period of time, you lived in Mr. Brodalla's home?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Along with your girlfriend?
Yes, I did.
And your daughter?
Yes, and her son.
You lived there from when to when?
From September of 2009 until April 11th of 2010.
And where did you live prior to September of 2009?
I had a house that I was renting in a different part of the city of Crystal.
And what happened to that house?
I wound up losing the house because I couldn't.
You got evicted?
Yes.
So when you got evicted from your old house, Mr. Brodalla took you in?
Yes, he did.
This is your lawsuit. Your lawsuit says while you were living there, you did a lot of renovations, a lot of construction in the house. You want him to pay you back for the materials that you put in the house because he kicked you out of the house after there was an altercation between you and his daughter.
I was not kicked out of the house. I was made to leave by the police. He never kicked me out. he just decided not to.
Somebody kicked you out. The police kicked you out.
Yes.
Because somebody called the police. Who called the police?
I believe it was Jessica, my daughter's mother.
Okay, and you want the materials. Mr. Brodalla says that that was not the agreement. He never told you he was going to reimburse you for the materials. He's got some nonsense counterclaim about some engine that you purchased for him way before you were even living with him. Right, Mr. Brodalla?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brodalla, let's forget about that nonsense. Will you please? It's sort of irritating to me.
Ma'am, I actually did give Mr. Brodalla a large sum of money, not the entire amount for the engine, but he gave the money back to me and told me to hang on to it, that he did not need the money, that I should use the money to start my life with well, what I thought would have been my family.
So how did you do that?
Excuse me? How did I do about
So
how did I start my life?
How did you do that? If he gave you back the money and said, I want you to use it to get a start on your life,
to be
what
honest
did you
with
do
ma'am,
with it?
The money that I had that he had given back to me, I used to invest into a vehicle that I'm still trying to sell to this day. And
Wait,
I spent the rest of it right
just
here.
a second. So you used it to invest in a vehicle?
Yes.
How does that start a new life?
Well, to be honest with you, it's hard to convince someone to move out of their dad's house when he pays all of their bills and makes everything so easy for them. It's hard to convince them to move out into the real world and you know, have...
Let's stop for a moment, sir. What was the rent that you were paying or not paying in the house that you got evicted from? How much rent was your share?
$450 a month.
And how much money did you pay Mr. Brodalla to live in his house?
I didn't pay him.
Listen.
As far as rent goes, I did not pay him any rent money.
So you paid him nothing?
No, I paid him quite a bit.
What'd you pay him?
I did quite a bit of work in his home for him, along with I offered to pay for quite a few things.
I'm asking you, Mr. Sedalic, what you paid him in rent. The answer is nothing.
Because he told me not to pay him anything.
That's not
great. And because you felt as if you couldn't just live there like a bum, because you're a big, strong, strapping guy, you did some projects around the house.
Mr. Brodalla and I had a verbal contract.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
Baloney.
Here, I have proof of it.
Baloney.
There's a note that Jessica had wrote to her father the night before I wound up needing to leave the house, telling him to give me the money. So
Listen to me. Is that a contract between you and the defendant?
No, but
No, but. There's no but. A contract is between a plaintiff and a defendant. Show me a contract that exists between you and Mr. Brodalla.
We had a verbal contract.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
I'm not the one that's lying about it, Your Honor.
Yeah, right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, you want to tell me about the day that the police got called?
Sure. I was downstairs and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child screaming and cursing out my little girl, saying, pardon my language, but quit. And she's holding my little girl up by one leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground, because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
So what did you do?
I became upset, and I told her...
Tell me what you did.
I looked down and I see dirty diapers sitting all over the floor, and I picked up the diaper and I said, will you throw this in the trash? And I threw the diaper at her. And in between her cursing me out and yelling at me, she decided to run into her room and close the door. At that time, because of altercations we had in the past, I decided that I needed to leave. And in the course of doing that, I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave. But, of course, you know, that wouldn't happen.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go and you broke down the door. Now, I assume she has an order of protection against you, Mr. Sedalic.
Yes, she does.
And was that an order issued with your consent, or was there a trial?
It was with my consent.
Now, you also have visitation with your daughter.
No, I do not.
You don't have the right to see your daughter under supervision?
I've seen my little girl one time.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do you have the right to see your child under supervision?
Yes.
Who gave you supervised visitation?
A guardian ad litem.
Guardian ad litem was, you know who the guardian ad litem is?
Yes.
Represents the child.
Yes.
Not her. Now, when are you supposed to see your daughter?
Saturdays and Sundays from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock.
And where are you supposed to see your daughter?
At my next door neighbor's house.
Do you go there every Saturday and Sunday?
This last weekend I was not able to because my daughter was not there.
Goodbye, sir. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out, sir. I'll be back to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I want you folks to have a seat.
Mr. Tucker, you have a driver's license, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, Your Honor.
Is it a valid driver's license, and is it current?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has it ever been suspended?
Yes, it has, Your Honor.
How many times?
About 2 times, Your Honor.
For what?
Speeding, Your Honor.
You borrowed Miss Taylor's car.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
It was February, it was on a Sunday.
Date?
February 28th, Your Honor.
Where were you going with the car?
Just go and hang out with a couple of friends, Your Honor.
Is that what you told Miss Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you were just going to hang out with some friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
You didn't have a car of your own, I assume?
At the time, I do have a car of my own at the time.
Then? Did you have a car of your own?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why didn't you take your own car?
Because Miss Taylor came and picked me up the night before, Your Honor. She came and picked me up. She knew I wasn't going to have my vehicle.
Why didn't you have your vehicle? Why did she have to come and pick you up, Mr. Tucker?
Because I wasn't driving where she came and picked me up from, and she came and picked me up.
Explain that to me.
I was actually riding with my brother-in-law and my cousin at the time, and she came and met me at the hotel, picked me up, and took me back to her house.
And you spent the night?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And the next day?
And the next day when I woke up, she had already left the house.
For what?
I guess to go do some shopping or something.
Is that what happened?
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
So she left and took her car?
And took her car, yes, Your Honor.
And then she came back?
And when she came back, I asked her if I could use her car to go hang out with a couple of friends. She said fine. She had already handled what she had to take care of, and I told her I'd be back.
What time did you take her car to go and hang out with some friends?
Probably about 12 that afternoon, Your Honor.
What kind of car did Miss Taylor have?
Acura.
What year?
An 08 or 09.
Is that right?
It's an 08, Your Honor.
So where did you go, Mr. Tucker?
Like I said, I went by, visited a couple of friends. From there, I parked the car, caught a ride.
Parked the car where?
I parked the car at a friend's house.
Address?
I don't know the address, Your Honor.
Street?
Street? The name of the street? Honeycutt. That's the name of the street that it was on, Your Honor.
And what's your friend's name? Don't look over there. Look at my eyes. Mr. Tucker, this is going to get worse for you, sir. It's going to get worse.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been interrogated by the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will find that an almost exhilarating experience when I get finished with you. Friend's name?
I know his last name. I don't know his first name.
What do you call him?
By his nickname, Your Honor, Shiz.
And what's his last name? And who does he live with?
Right now, I don't know because he moved.
Oh, he moved from Honeycutt.
Yes.
So he doesn't live on Honeycutt anymore.
No, Your Honor.
But you parked her car, her Acura, on Honeycutt.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what did you do?
Your Honor.
Hey, Miss Taylor, let me have a good time.
Okay.
Could I have a good time?
Okay. Nobody lives on Honeycutt.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. So you parked the car on Honeycutt, and you went to visit your friend Scooch.
Shiz, Your Honor.
What?
Shiz.
Yes, that's what I said, Scooch. And?
And from there, I caught a ride. I rode around with some of my other friends. I parked the car, left the car there parked.
You left the car there?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Caught a ride with some friends, drove around. Go ahead.
Drove around. We went to a bar. From there to a club, and from there to a hotel party, Your Honor.
And?
And I was not driving, and at the time, a friend of mine was driving. I went back and got Miss Taylor's vehicle.
What's your friend's name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany was driving whose car?
Her car.
Tiffany's car?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car does Tiffany have?
A Pacifica.
A Pacific?
A Pacifica? It's a van, Your Honor.
Okay, and where did you go with Tiffany?
Went to a sports bar, shot some pool. Went to a club, picked up some more friends.
What time was this now?
This is all day, probably from...
Well, from 12 noon. So what time were you finished? You were in a bar, you were in a club, you were in a hotel, you were in a motel, you were with Tiffany in her van, then you went to another club, then you went, shot some pool. That's a very, very busy day. You know, it would take me at least 2 weeks to do all those activities. Keep going.
Yes, Your Honor. And then from there, we ended up at a hotel, a little party.
That was 2 hotels you were at in one day?
No, Your Honor, just one hotel.
Well, you told me you were in a hotel earlier in the day. I'm getting there, Bird.
Take your time.
It's just actually amusing myself.
Yes, Your Honor, it's the same hotel, Your Honor.
What happened to her car?
To the car. Then from there, went back, got the car.
Got whose car?
Miss Taylor's car.
So you mean I listened to all this nonsense for nothing? Because at some point, after you went clubbing and moteling and hoteling and pooling and scooching, you went back and you got the car.
Went back, got the car.
And?
Drove it to the hotel, Your Honor.
Drove it back to the hotel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And from there, I must have consumed too much alcohol because I ended up passing out in the hotel. When I was awakened, my cell phone and the car keys was missing, Your Honor.
So Scooch must have, or one of his friends, must have taken your car and had a big accident in it, caused a lot of damage. And your defense is, I was drunk and I don't know what happened. That's your defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's your responsibility.
But, Your Honor, the insurance paid for the car. I immediately, when I found out the car was missing, I immediately called.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It's your responsibility. You took her property with her permission and behaved in an irresponsible way with it. Why do I say that, sir? I just listened to a litany of events where you were driving, partying, drinking, fooling around, drinking some more, hanging around some more. And then, according to you, you got back in her car and took it someplace. You're responsible, whether or not you actually had the accident in the car, which is something actually I believe you did. So does she.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone anymore, Your Honor. That's why I brought my eyewitness.
And later today.
You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Melanie Taylor says ex-boyfriend Siobhan Tucker owes for car damage, rental car fees, and emotional distress. Siobhan is countersuing, claiming Melanie bleached his clothes.
You borrowed the property. You did not return the property. It's your responsibility. You can go get Scooch and go find the phantom who stole the car. Do you understand? Now, your car was severely damaged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody was ever charged.
No, Your Honor.
Did your insurance pay for the damage?
Some of the damage, Your Honor.
Your insurance had a deductible?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the deductible?
$250, Your Honor.
So that you paid for?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor.
What?
It didn't cover the bumper. It had additional damages to the bumper and the taillight, and my insurance company would not cover it, and I'm not sure why.
Well, I don't know either. Sue the insurance company. Why?
The insurance company, because they had already mailed her a check for those damages, and she didn't get it repaired, and she spent the money, Your Honor.
Well,
that's why.
That may be, but then take that up with your insurance company. He's certainly responsible for your deductible. Anything else?
I have receipts, Your Honor, showing that I paid for the bumper and the
I don't
taillight.
care. That's a problem that you have with your insurance company, not with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Has nothing to do with the accident.
Yes,
Now, you have a counterclaim, Mr. Tucker.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Did you bleach his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Did you bleach or damage any of his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I have an eyewitness, Your Honor. After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone anymore, Your Honor, but that's why I brought my eyewitness. And she also admitted it to my eyewitness.
Well, your eyewitness can't tell me what she saw on your phone. That's hearsay.
I didn't know that, Your Honor.
That's why you come here. You get educated.
Right.
When did she return the clothes to you?
I never received.
Never got them back?
Nothing. I left with the clothes I had on my back. I had to repurchase clothes.
Well, that's a good idea, because I'm sure that Miss Taylor didn't think you were going to go put your hand down, fooling around in a hotel, in a motel, and with Tiffany and everything else when you said, I'd like to go hang out with some of my friends. You think she figured that that's what you were going to do all day and all night?
We've known each other for a while, Your Honor.
I'm asking you, do you think that that was in her mind, that you were going to be going fooling around with Tiffany in her car? I wouldn't think so.
No, Your Honor.
I don't think so. So did you buy yourself some new clothes?
Some. I replaced some.
Perfect. Good. You owe $250. That's all. Judgment for the claim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I believe that I should get way more than $250 for all I went through.
This is basically just an attempt.
Just emotional stress.
To not really get the money back for the car because the insurance did pay for the car.
He abandoned me for a month and a half.
It's like revenge, like the same with the clothes, how she destroyed the clothes.
Then he came back on my job April the 23rd and explained to me what happened.
He actually busted the window out my house. It was all types of things.
He said that he was sorry and that he promised that he would pay back the money.
You know, it's another story, so we're here for the car.
He didn't pay it back. I haven't received a dime nor child support.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Welliver versus Nichols step forward.
Lynn Welliver is suing her former friend, Craig Nichols, for a truck loan, plus interest, and for making physical threats.
Mr. Nichols, let's start with you, sir. The plaintiff was a friend of yours. You had been friends for a while, according to what I read in your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
She was married and recently divorced. When the plaintiff divorced, she and her former husband had a landscaping business, or were trying to start a landscaping business. She decided she wanted to continue with that business. You were not employed gainfully at the time, or at least only marginally employed at the time, so you thought you might go into this business with her.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, is that a reasonable statement?
For the most part.
That's all I need for the most part. According to the plaintiff, she made a loan to you so that you could purchase a truck to be used in the business, and you purchased a truck that you put in your name. So far, is that correct?
Everything except that she did not loan me the money.
It is your claim that she made an investment in the business because the truck was to be used for the business. That's what you say.
Which is not entirely true.
That's what you say here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And then the business fell apart.
It did.
Who has the truck?
I do.
You have to sell it if I find that that's what happened. Because if she made an investment in the business and you did or did not put in any money in the truck.
I did put money in the truck,
You
but
did?
not
Just a second.
willfully.
Hey, listen, you're never going to get one step ahead. I know that you're thinking about what you're going to say now and how this is going to come out. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Either she made a loan to you or it was an investment in the business.
Actually, it was
I'm not
a loan to
speaking.
him.
Hey,
Like 100%.
one more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lynn Welliver says former friend Craig Nichols owes for a truck loan and for making physical threats. Craig claims the truck was a gift.
How much money did you put into the truck?
Roughly $1,000.
Good. And how much money, according to you, did the plaintiff put into this truck as a business investment?
She paid $4,000 for the truck.
So you put in $1,000, she put in $4,000. So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had the truck?
Roughly a year.
Now, what happens to a business, Mr. Nichols, when the business goes south? What do you think happens to the assets of the business?
Normally they would probably be liquidated.
Correct. That's very smart. That's what happens with the assets of a business. And once the assets of a business are liquidated, Mr. Nichols, what happens to the proceeds of that liquidated merchandise?
I would assume they would go to pay off the debts that the business had standing.
Or the investors. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have, according to you, a small interest in that truck. Because according to you, you put down $1,000 as your investment in the business. And she put down $4,000 as the investment in the business. Now, why would you think that you get to keep the truck?
Well, the truck was actually a gift that was given to me.
That's not what you said.
And business use.
That's not what you say in your answer. You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. You want me to read what you wrote in your answer? What you swore to?
That's not necessary, ma'am. That's not necessary.
So, now, either she made a loan to you or it was an investment in the business.
Actually,
I'm not speaking. Hey,
like 100%.
One more thing, one more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
One more time. Now I've warned you twice.
Okay.
It is either one of two things, Mr. Nichols. It was either a loan for the balance of the truck, or it was an investment in the business, which is what you swore to in your answer. Which one was it?
Well, initially, it was an investment in the business, but when the business didn't go anywhere, I assumed that I would pay her the rest of the money for the truck because she is my friend, and that would be the right thing to do.
I'm not interested in what you think is the right thing to do, sir. If initially it was an investment in the business, it has to be sold. Now you understand?
I understand what you're saying.
It has to be sold because that was an asset of the business, and she gets a piece of it, and you get a piece of it. Now do we understand each other? I believe you when you say that the truck was used for the business, and the business did not succeed, and therefore the assets of the business have to be liquidated and shared among the investors.
With all due respect, Your Honor, the truck is in my name, so I feel like I can do whatever I want with it.
Well, I'm going to cut an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to put her name on the title. You understand me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can figure out what you're going to do with this truck, because then she's going to own a piece of it. As a matter of fact, I may direct that the Department of Motor Vehicles transfer title to her, and then she can sell it and she can give you back your piece. We understand each other now, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You get it?
Can I please
You'll
speak?
get... No.
Judy.
Now, you're getting the truck. I'm going to cut an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Listen to me. Was the truck used for the business?
No. 100% it was never used for the business. Not once. Because the
I'm
business
cutting an
never
order
happened.
that you have title to the truck, take it, sell it, and take back your investment and give him his portion.
What needs to be done is I need my money back for the loan because the truck is now not worth what we paid for it.
What we paid, you're absolutely right. That's what happens when you liquidate assets.
But the truck was never ended up being used for business. It was only...
That's what it was purchased for.
It was only an idea in the
Listen to me, my dear. That's what the order is going to be. You're going to get exactly what you're entitled to, which is a return on your investment. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You do understand. I know you understand. That's what's going to happen. Truck is going to be turned over to you. You can sell it unless he wants to sell it. And if he wants to sell it, the two of you can cooperate in selling it. Put it on Craigslist, advertise it in a newspaper, sell it. You take back your little piece that you invested. She's going to take back a much bigger piece because that's what she invested in your business. We understand each other?
I understand you.
Perfect.
I don't think you've heard the full facts of the case, though.
Well, if you listen, he has a choice.
Because the
he has his choice. Listen to me.
Business.
Listen to me. It's his choice. If he wants to give you the money that you claim was a loan, which I don't think was a loan, I think it was a bit, he can do that. My order is going to be to Motor Vehicles to turn the title into your name so that you can sell it and recoup part of your investment in your landscaping business. Goodbye.
Body's excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Your complaint, Ms. Jackson, is that Mr. Burkhalter, who was your then sometimes boyfriend, you were sometimes maybe staying at his house. He took your car to go to store or something, and he was stopped by the police, arrested for possession of drugs. They impounded your car, and the car was not recovered from impound, and it was subsequently auctioned off. Mr. Burkhalter says he's not responsible for that because he was out doing a chore for you, buying some drugs that you had given him money for. Is that your defense, Mr. Burkhalter? That was what he wrote. I couldn't lie about that. That's
Yes,
what he
ma'am.
swore to. That Miss Jackson had given you money to go buy some drugs for her, and you and your friend had concluded that transaction, and evidently it was a police sting operation. So, according to you, you were taken into custody. Car was impounded. It's not your fault because you were really doing an errand for Miss Jackson. That's your defense.
Yes.
What kind of drugs did you buy for her?
Crystal meth?
Shh, just a second. Do you use drugs?
No, ma'am.
And what's the name of your friend that you were arrested with?
Dominique?
Is he a drug user?
No, ma'am.
So if none of you used drugs, and Miss Jackson was the only drug user, she was staying at your house at the time? She was your girlfriend, on and off? So she gave you money to buy crystal meth. How much money did she give you?
She gave him amount of $35.
$35?
Yes, ma'am.
And she had to have told you where to go because you don't use drugs.
No, she told my friend, like, when we were on our way to the store, because we stopped at a dealer's place down the street from the house, and we made the stop, my friend went in and purchased the drugs.
Just a second. Who did she give the money to?
She gave it to my friend Dominique.
Dominique?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was this lady here?
This is my niece. She was there at the time.
Oh, but did she see the drug transaction go down?
No, she seen him pass the money as we're leaving out.
Tell me your name.
Artisia.
You were in the house at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember what day this was?
July 13th.
Remember what time?
Early morning. It had to be maybe like around 10 or 11.
What were you doing there?
I always go to my uncle's house sometime when I'm in town.
Oh, so you were staying there?
No, I stayed with my mom, but during the daytime, I came to his house.
In the morning, why?
We just grew up close.
And what was Miss Jackson doing there on the 13th at about 10 or 11 in the morning?
She was staying with him at the time, and I overheard the conversation of him going to the store, and she didn't want to remove her car, so she asked him.
Tell me what was said.
She asked, could you stop at my friend's house, my dealer's house, and get the drugs on you guys' way?
Did she tell him where that was?
Yes.
No, don't look over there. Look over here.
It was 13th Street in a peach house.
Peach house?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that where you went, Mr. Burkhalter?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was driving her car?
Me. I was.
Why in the world, Mr. Burkhalter, would you go and do this errand for Miss Jackson with your niece home? Are you sweating, Mr. Burkhalter?
It's hot.
Not for me.
No.
How old are you?
25.
Any other children in the house other than you?
No.
Just you and your uncle?
Yes, and his friend.
And his friend, Dominique. Did he plead guilty to drug possession?
I really don't know.
What about you?
Well, I went to court yesterday, and they dropped the charges on driving with suspension license and marijuana under house.
Did you have a lawyer?
No, just a public defender.
Well, that's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Now, who had the marijuana under an ounce?
It was in the car, in the center console.
Whose was it?
Tanika's. It was in her car, you know.
And what about the crystal meth?
When they searched the car, they found the marijuana, then they searched us, and they found the baggie in my friend's pocket.
In Dominique's pocket? He had the crystal meth?
Yeah.
Now, who's this, your mother's brother or
yes,
your mother's brother? Did you see any money exchanged?
Yes, I did. I didn't see how much.
Don't look over there. Look over here.
I didn't see how much it was, but I saw the money being exchanged.
Now, Miss Jackson, this happened on July 13th, so you knew that you didn't have a car July 14th.
Actually, July 13th, because it's what?
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go down to try to get your car?
I called, and I went down there actually several times, and they told me it has to get paid for now, and I let him know that.
Just a second. Why didn't you get your car out of impound?
I didn't have the money for it, and when we talked about it, first, can I tell you what happened? Or
yeah.
Okay. First off, it was July 13th, and we were at his house. She was not there. I've never seen her before. I don't even know her name. Who are you? Money money for meth. I don't even do meth. The meth was found on his friend Dominique, so I'm just assuming it's Dominique's, right? He tells me the police pulled them over on a routine stop, and they were going to leave my car locked up, and I would just had to walk down the street to go get it. But when they saw the meth in his pocket, that's why they
stop for what?
They was out the area we live in. It's like a lot of police out on certain days, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it happened to be a Tuesday, and they just be stopping, like Operation Phoenix or something like that. And they,
Operation what?
Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can sit down. I don't understand. You know, there has to be a lie here someplace.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Marijuana may be potent, but it doesn't have legs. Somebody has to bring it and put it in the center console of your car. That would have either been you or him.
And later today,
You cut off all the beer.
Yes, ma'am.
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Cut off all the beer, and at 1:30 in the morning, you decided you were hungry. You think I believe that?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tanika Jackson says former friend Kenrick Burkhalter owes for the value of a car. Tanika says the vehicle was sold in impound after Kenrick was pulled over with drugs on him.
Now, what's your sister's name?
Mian.
How many sisters do you have?
One.
And what's your first name?
Artisia.
And that's your mother?
Yes.
And how old is your sister?
43.
How many children does she have?
One.
Has your sister ever been arrested for drugs?
No, ma'am.
What about you?
No, ma'am.
What about you?
No, ma'am.
How long had you been his girlfriend in July?
Actually, we were never boyfriend and girlfriend. We were just friends.
What were you doing staying at his house?
I used to live 2 streets up from him, and we had to move out of there. And in transition of moving into my new place, he said it was okay that I stayed with him.
For how long?
I was there for probably about a month, a little over a month.
Did you ever meet his sister?
I did meet his sister, but I've never met her. I've heard of her, never seen her.
So this is his niece?
That's his niece.
Well, I thought, Miss Jackson, you just said to her, who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
No, just a second.
Sorry. Sorry.
Well, you did know then who she was.
I didn't know. When I saw her in here, I don't know who she is.
But you knew who she was now that you knew that he had a niece whose name was Artesia.
Yeah, now you're saying that's your niece.
Right?
I'm aware of
and
who
you heard
she
her
is.
name, so when you said, who are you? Yeah, it's going to be absolutely impossible to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. So we're going to have to rely on some interesting...
Can I explain to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying, when I say who are you, because I've never seen her physically. I've heard of her. I've heard stories of her. According to me, she lives in a different state or something.
I don't care.
And so she was not there. This is my first time ever seeing her in my life.
Fine. Mr. Burkhalter, my question to you is, let us assume, sir, I believe your story. I'm not saying I believe it, that you gave him or Dominique money for drugs. I'm not saying it's true. But let's say I believe you. And let's say instead of giving you or Dominique $35 for drugs, and you were the driver of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You pulled up to the Peach House.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
waited for Dominique to go inside, pick up the drugs, and bring them back for Miss Jackson. And this was a gesture of goodwill for her.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Now, let's say instead of giving you $35 or giving Dominique $35, she handed you a little 38 special and said, you know, I'm really short of money this week. I want you to take this 38 special and go down to the gas station. Do me a favor. I'd like you to stick up the gas station for me and bring me back the money. And you did that. Do you think that's her fault?
No, ma'am.
Whose fault would that be?
It'll be mine.
Well, what she was asking you to do was buy her drugs. In every jurisdiction I know, that's a crime, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have several choices. You either say to her, I'll take my own car, or move your car. I'm not going to buy your drugs, because that's what this was all about. She didn't want to move her car. She said, take my car. So you were going out to commit a felony on her behalf, and you got caught. So who do you think is responsible for that?
I guess me.
Perfect. And that's if I believe you. I don't know if I believe any of you. Now, what kind of car did you have, Miss Jackson?
I had a 2000 Dodge Stratus.
Okay. Well, we do know several things. We know that there were drugs in your car. Some marijuana. Don't know how it got there. Marijuana may be potent, but it doesn't have legs. Somebody has to bring it there and put it in the center console of your car. That would have either been you or him. Then we know that somebody in that house is a meth user. And you were staying there for a month.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And nobody did meth there. I don't even know what meth looks like, so
neither do I.
Crazy.
All I know is it's nasty. And nobody ever got caught in my car with meth. So now we're going to find out what this 2000 Dodge Strata is worth, Officer Byrd. And then we're going to apportion fault.
Well, I just want to let you know, I don't know anything about meth. I didn't hand him any money because he was going to the store for himself. So whatever story he's telling you is new to me, but that's not what happened.
V6 or 4-cylinder?
A 4-cylinder.
1500.
Now, I want to know what a day's impound was on the car.
Well, on the first paper they sent me out, it was $360. Plus the towing, it was $660. And then I kept going back. I have several papers I kept going back.
I don't care if you kept going back.
Okay.
I don't care if the value of your car is $1,500. Why are you suing for $22,000?
Because he's told me over 15 times he was going to go get my car out of impound.
And?
So he never did. And I keep getting these papers to show him, like, they don't stop adding charges because you want to wait. And
I understand that, but then they sold your car.
Exactly. The $22.80 was until the point where they sold it. That was the last amount I could have paid to get it out before they sold it the next day.
But it's not worth $22.80.
That's just the storage charges.
You don't have to pay those charges. They sold it.
I'm talking about previously. If we didn't come here, every day they added money to it.
Your Honor, can I say something, Your Honor?
Oh, yes.
A week after.
A week after her car was impounded, I don't know how much money he gave her, but he gave her money to get her car out of the impound.
How much money was given to me?
She didn't have her license. That's why she didn't go get her car out the impound.
Ooh, sit down. Very interesting. Oh, that's an interesting story.
How much money? I didn't get a dime.
That's just a second. Take your hands off.
Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
before I decided to put it in reverse, I had asked Tom if he could be my eyes to get me out of the driveway, and Tom said yes, and as I proceeded up, he backed me right up into his own car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tanika Jackson says former friend Kenrick Burkhalter is responsible for her car being sold in impound.
Okay, where do you come from?
I come from San Bernardino, California.
You have a valid California driver's license?
Yes, I do.
Now?
It's right here. Yes, I do.
As of when?
As of July. I got it in July.
Let me see.
He has not.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
This is dated May 18th, 2006.
My driver's license?
Isn't that what it says? Bert, am I correct?
Yes.
Was your license suspended?
Yeah, it was.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
When was your driver's license suspended?
My driver's license was suspended a while ago. I'm not sure of the date, but it's valid as of now.
What were you doing driving a car? Your driver's license wasn't valid then, because I see that you had a valid driver's license May 18th, 2006. It expired June 2nd, 2011, but it was suspended. What are you looking at me as if I'm talking a foreign language for?
I'm not.
On what date was your driver's license reinstated?
I don't have that paper.
Well, you get that paper, you can come back. Right now, your case is dismissed without prejudice, because if you're driving around with a car without a license, I'm not interested in your complaint. Do you understand?
I understand that, but my license is valid. Right, and I don't do meth.
You may step out.
I don't care really what he says. He's full of lies.
He left her. He kicked her out, so that's the problem.
Stop doing favors for people, you know, and live my own life.
I don't believe anything anybody says, so it doesn't matter.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brokenshire versus Evanson. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Thomas Brokenshire is suing his former friend, Trevor Evanson, for running into his car while backing out of a driveway.
Give me the date of this incident with the cars.
April 20th, 2010.
And when, Mr. Brokenshire, did you last socialize with Mr. Evanson? Look at me.
April 21st.
Where was that?
We were located at the house that I was currently residing at.
And what were you doing on April 21st after this incident?
We were meeting for arrangements to cover the damages on the vehicle.
Now, who had been drinking on April 20th, 2010? Raise your hand. Right. And after everybody was drinking at this party together and having a good time, who wanted to go and get some food? Raise your hand.
It was all of us.
And who all went to get some food? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you went to get some food. What is this? What is this? Is there something wrong with your hand? Make it all the way up. Did you go to get some food?
Technically not.
Were you going to get some food? Now you got it. You think you're going to be a wise guy with me? I ate people like you for breakfast before I start working. And then you all got in a car. He was driving when you were going to get some food after you had been drinking, all buddies and friends. And it is your claim that he backed into your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want him to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want me to get involved in this lunacy? Courts don't do that. Was your car damaged?
Negative. Negative.
What kind of car did you have?
Ford Ranger.
And what kind of car did you have?
Camaro Super Sport.
Guess he was luckier than you were.
Yes, ma'am.
Having partied all evening, what were you all going out for to get food? Why don't you just go to sleep?
Well, ma'am, we started off the barbecue earlier in the day.
I don't care. Don't give me a whole story. I have other things to do with important cases, not people who are looking to have a good time. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, what time did you start the barbecue?
Started approximately
Just give me
12:30.
12:30 in the afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
Barbecue and what?
It's barbecue and social
Beer?
gathering.
Beer?
Yes, ma'am.
What else other than beer?
It's only beer, ma'am.
Just beer. And what time did you get hungry again after you'd been drinking barbecue and beer all day?
Roughly 1:30 in the morning the previous day.
Not the previous day.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't go backwards. The only one that goes backwards in time is Bill Murray.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, we move forward.
I'm sorry, ma'am. It was the day after.
So you had been barbecuing and drinking beer for about 11 and a half hours.
No, ma'am. We ended the barbecue roughly 4 p.m.
And then what'd you do?
We just kind of hang out.
No beer. You cut off all the beer.
Yes, ma'am.
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Cut off all the beer, and at 1:30 in the morning, you decided you were hungry.
Well, that's
How
when-
old are you?
19.
You think I believe that? You know how many 19-year-olds I raised? A lot. Why don't you help him fix his car?
I don't consider it my fault. We were all drinking that night, and we all decided to leave to go
No,
get some food.
I mean, you were driving.
Correct. Well, before I decided to put it in reverse, I had asked Tom if he could be my eyes to get me out of the driveway, and Tom said yes, and as I proceeded up, he backed me right up into his own car.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
How old are you?
21.
19, 21, 20. So the only one who's legal to drink is you. Is that right?
Correct.
Were you legal to drink then?
Negative.
Not. Goodbye, kids. Go pay for your own cars. Thank you. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's case number 193 on the calendar in the matter of Donis versus Below.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Donis, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And you lived together in a house with her.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that after you told her to leave, she came back sometime later and vandalized your property.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant says she didn't do anything to your property. She's got a counterclaim that I'll let her tell me about in short order. When did the defendant move into the house where you were living?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to say 2008.
And did you just have a friendly relationship with her? She seems to say it was more than that.
It was a friendly relationship, yes, it was.
Was there ever a period that it was a more intimate kind of relationship?
No, ma'am, never.
Never?
Never.
She had her own room?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lived in the house?
A friend of mine. He owned the house.
Name?
Kenny.
How long have you lived there?
Oh, gosh, 4 years.
And Miss Belote, you paid rent there?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
No.
How come?
Because he never asked me to.
Who never asked you to?
Kenny, I did give him money sometimes, but I didn't do it on a daily time or a monthly time, but I gave him money every once in a while.
Were you working?
Yes, I was.
What were you doing with your money?
Giving it to Mr. Donis.
Well, that's something. How much rent were you paying?
$500 a month.
This is an odd sort of an arrangement. What kind of house is this and where?
It's in Riverside, California. It's a 2-story, very old house.
And you work?
Yes, ma'am.
And you work but didn't pay rent?
Yes, ma'am.
You had your own room?
No, I did not. I slept in the same room as Mr. Donis did. I never slept in any other room besides that room.
Is that right?
That's not true, Your Honor.
Where did she sleep?
Upstairs.
Never ever been upstairs. I would not go upstairs. It's a scary room up there.
Okay. Okay. You asked Miss Belote to leave in May?
Yes, ma'am.
May what?
The last 2 weeks of May, I'm not sure of the
Tell
date.
me why.
Because my lack of wanting a more intimate relationship with her, it begun to weigh heavy on her. She'd begun to constantly bring up my financial situations, my inability to pay certain bills when they're due. For example, I had a car that had to be smogged and the registration paid. She offered to pay it. And she would later on constantly bring that up and belittle me. So finally, Your Honor, I reached my point. And one evening I said, you know, in the next few days, in a week, take your time, find another place to live. She flew into a rage. She started dumping all the stuff in the house.
So what you're telling me, Mr. Donis, is that during the course of the couple of years that she lived there, she paid for certain things for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And can I say one thing? Oh, sorry about that.
Like what?
Well, for example, we would constantly dine out, dinner or lunch. I say, I can't afford that. I'll get it. We would go to concerts, the theater. She would pay for it.
Okay, well, she wasn't paying rent. She had money. When did this alleged burglary take place after she moved out? On June 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please. You told the police that you dated Miss Belote for 3 years while you lived at the residence.
No, I did not. That's what the police wrote down. They wrote down a couple of things
Belote
erroneously.
stayed with Adonis at the house during a portion of their relationship. Adonis ended the relationship with Belote about 2 months ago. The police got that all wrong.
No, not all wrong, Your Honor. They just stated a few facts erroneously. We were
Riverside Police Department would not be happy to hear, sir, that you are ascribing to them inaccurate reporting.
Well, they were not happy when I brought that to their attention yesterday. The officers were not happy.
Okay. And of course, Miss Belote, you say that you had nothing to do with this.
No, I did not.
Fine. Now, Mr. Adonis, you did not witness this event. You came home and found that the padlock on your door had been removed and your place trashed. You list items here that were trashed. The police did observe the place having been trashed. Now you have to prove to me who did it.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do it.
Well, ma'am, the police took photographs, which I do have also.
Your place was trashed.
Okay.
And burglarized.
Okay. I came home, the locks...
I said that already. You're not paying attention to me.
Well, ma'am, I have a witness that saw her enter the house and saw her exit the house carrying a bedsheet full of things.
I want to see the witness. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up.
Can I say anything yet?
No. What's your name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan what?
Years off.
Where do you live?
I live in Riverside, California.
In what proximity to the plaintiff?
About 7 miles away.
And what were you doing at his house, allegedly, on the 1st of June?
I was behind his house waiting for a friend.
Where behind his house?
In my friend's backyard.
What were you waiting for your friend for?
To go hang out.
And you were waiting in the backyard?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing in the backyard?
Smoking.
Smoking what?
A cigarette.
Your Honor, if you just said...
And tell me what it is that you allegedly saw. Sir.
I saw a tall, blonde, short-haired woman walk in through the kitchen door. Then I became frustrated waiting for my friend, so I called my mom to have her come pick me up. I walked across Kenny's house. Then I saw this lady have a bedsheet full of various items, put them into her car, then walked back, grabbed 4 gallons of water, empty them out on the porch, threw the jugs on the ground, and sped away in her car.
And who did you report this to?
2 days later, I went back and I reported it to James.
And so your mother came and picked you up, so I assume the first person that you told was your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And so she can corroborate that.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the 3rd of June, when you told the plaintiff, did he ask you to go to the police with him?
No, ma'am.
Did you go to the police at any time to give them a statement?
No, ma'am.
When he went to Riverside Police yesterday to complain about what was written in the report, because it says here, unknown suspect, did he ask you to go with him?
No, ma'am.
Why is that, Mr. Donis?
Well, ma'am, because I neglected to inform the Riverside Police Department after he told me he witnessed her, because I did not want the police involved at her job. She has a very good job, and I didn't want her work disrupted at all.
Very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't go back to the police and say, now I have a witness who's prepared to swear under penalties of perjury, where he could go to jail for about 6 months.
And later today.
How old are you?
35.
What's wrong with you?
There's nothing wrong with me.
Well, there is something wrong with you.
Says former roommate Deborah Belote burglarized his room and trashed his belongings. Deborah claims she and James were more than roommates.
Mr. Donis, when your witness goes and swears in a report that he witnessed the burglary and they make an arrest based upon his sworn statement to the police that she burglarized your property, I'll be more than happy to recall and hear your case. Do you understand that, Mr. Donis?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is that reasonable to you, sir?
Of course it is.
Because you called the police that night and you named the defendant as someone who might have been responsible for this burglary. So it doesn't make sense to me that once you have a witness who saw her there, 2 days later you wouldn't go back to the police and say, you know, I didn't see anybody, but now I have a witness who's prepared to swear under penalties of perjury where he could go to jail for about 6 months that he actually saw her at the property. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to do a hop, skip, and a jump down to Riverside today?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. As soon as you do that, I'll see you back here. Bye-bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a really good liar and an actor, and that's what he did today to the judge. And she saw it all.
She was unhappy with our relationship.
He said he loved me and cared for me, and I was the only person in his life.
We were never friends to begin with. You wouldn't do this to a friend.
Oh, big time learning experience. You're only done one time in your life, and that was it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Andreasen versus Behar, step forward, please.
Suzanne Andreasen is suing her former friend, Brian Behar, for rental car fees, parking tickets, and an unpaid iPhone account.
Ms. Andreasen, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for the bills for both a rental car and some sort of U-Haul that were put as a favor in your name, but he agreed to pay for. He kept them for longer than he at least told you he was going to keep them, and you want the money that you were forced to pay as a result of that. I don't know what you say.
I don't owe her anything, man.
Well, that's what you say, but why?
I mean, our whole relationship, you know, I mean...
I don't care about your relationship. Did you use a rental car?
She did get a rental car that I used.
Did you follow my words? Did you use a rental car?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay for it?
No, I did not.
Did you use a U-Haul?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay for it?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because she said she would take care of it.
How old are you?
35.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
There's nothing wrong with me.
Well, there is something wrong with you. If you need a friend to pay for your rental car and your U-Haul, there's something wrong with you. What kind of work does Miss Andreasen do?
She's unemployed.
How does she support herself?
I'm not sure.
How do you think she supports herself? You say she was a friend of yours. How does she support herself?
I know that she is getting unemployment or whatever, but as far as I know, I mean...
And what do you do?
She has a business that is something to do with some jewelry or whatever.
So she has a business?
Right. I used to own a construction company, and...
I don't care what you used to. You ate yesterday. How do you support yourself?
Right now, I'm unemployed, and I mean...
How do you feed yourself?
Best way I can.
What kind of an answer is that? What'd you need a U-Haul for?
Because I was moving, I had a child on the way, and I needed to leave out of the area that I was in because it wasn't a good area to, like, raise a child that... turns out the child isn't even mine, but the whole reason that she offered her help was because...
Was she working when she offered to help?
No, ma'am, she wasn't.
Why don't you just pay the bill so I can leave you alone?
I don't owe her the money. I mean,
Why don't you just pay the bill so you can leave her alone? You don't
I've given her enough money.
You don't? Well, tell me how much money... Just a second. Tell me how much money you gave her and when.
I don't know. I didn't realize the relationship was on that level. I mean, we were friends.
Give me an idea of how much money you gave her and when.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Give me an example.
An example. She pushes a $600 vacuum when she wants to vacuum her house.
And is what you're telling me you purchased that vacuum?
Yes.
When?
I guess like it was around October of last year. I mean, that's just one thing. I took her shopping and was like, and I told her, you know, get whatever you want. And she helped me fill up a shopping cart full of stuff. You know what I mean? I didn't realize our relationship was on that level to where I needed to keep
What kind of level did you think your relationship was on?
I mean, I thought that we were friends, and when we said we were doing something for each other, then that's what it was.
I have a lot of friends. I never bought them a vacuum cleaner.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Very foolish women, really foolish women, put their credit on the line in order to have a warm body as a male friend.
Suzanne Andreasen says former friend Brian Behar owes for rental car fees, parking tickets, and an unpaid iPhone account. Brian claims Suzanne offered to help him financially.
Now, let me see the bills from the rental car and from the U-Haul.
There's also a couple of parking tickets that he got on the vehicle when he had it that he didn't tell me about.
Did he tell you about any of the parking tickets he got?
No. And there's a $1,000 cell phone bill.
Just a second. You told her about the parking tickets?
Yes, I did. Whenever I first got one of the tickets, the other one I may not have told her about because...
Well, when you got the tickets, did you pay them?
I didn't have a chance.
I don't understand what you... Shut up. I don't understand what you mean you didn't get a chance.
Well, when I came out in the car had a ticket on it. I got the ticket, put it in the car, and I honestly lost track of the tickets. I don't know what happened to them or whatever, and that's why they didn't get paid. But I mean, like I said, she said she would take care of it. So she knew I was going through a hard time. She knew that I had the kid on the way. She knew that...
Listen to me. Nobody cares about your troubles, sir, especially me. I don't care about your troubles.
Well,
all I know, don't speak when I'm speaking. I didn't take a breath yet. When your friend is unemployed, according to you, and collecting unemployment, that means that they don't have a whole bunch of money.
Or that they don't want to work.
So a friend doesn't take advantage of their situation and take a car that they were supposed to have for a couple of days and keep it for how long? How long did you keep the car?
I don't recall.
A month. Well, let's try a month. When you have no money, you don't rent a car for a month on a friend who has no job.
When they said they would take care of it, you do.
You're an idiot. Because if your excuse is, I thought we were friends and I didn't think that it was a big deal, she said she would take care of it, and you say, I need a car to move from one place to the other, and you know if you keep the car that's on her credit card, there's going to be a big bill. And if you get a ticket because you didn't park in the right space, somebody is going to have to pay that, and it's going to be paid by the person who's got their credit card on the line. You don't say I lost track of it. Idiots lose track of tickets. And very foolish women, really foolish women, put their credit and their credit card on the line in order to have a warm body as a male friend. We understand each other?
Yes.
Very foolish ladies.
Absolutely. Can I say something?
Yes.
I have been renting cars for him for about a year, and he had always paid the bill. And so I had no reason to believe that this situation would be any different.
That's what keeps me in business.
Your Honor.
What? Where's the car bill?
This is for the U-Haul and the...
I see the U-Haul. It's $250.
Yes.
I have it here.
There's the other bills right there.
Just the car. What is this?
That's a bank statement.
I don't want a bank statement. I want a bill.
That's the only documentation I have of the charge on the credit card. It was $2,800.
You'll probably see cash deposits on there as well, where I gave her cash when she needed it.
From what? Did you give her cash?
When she needed the cash, and she was having a hard time different times, and I gave her cash.
Give me, just a second. Give me a date.
I don't know. I don't remember a date. I mean, there were several times.
There was 2 deposits made. The first one was when the same day you dropped off the first rental car, you deposited $1,153, and the charge for it was $1,448. The second deposit...
I also gave you cash.
No, you did not.
I made the deposit, but I also gave you cash.
You
No,
want
you
to
did
talk
not.
to each other? You can go outside and talk to each other. And then 801 and 1153.
Correct. All of the charges on that, he was the only one that used that card. And so...
Just a second.
Okay.
Wait a second, please. Check paid May 24th to Avis Rental Car. So that bill was $27.98.
And then there was $1,000 for an AT&T phone that he had.
Well, then you should have canceled that, madam. I don't get into phone bills. Before somebody works up $1,000 on phone bills, you cut off the phone. $376. That's for the U-Haul.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
What?
The cell phone did not get canceled because I had excellent credit. He told me he was paying the bill. I asked him every month, are you paying the AT&T bill? And he said yes. And
call AT&T. I'm not dealing with your phone bill. He owes you for the 2 tickets, the U-Haul, and the difference between what he paid on the rental car and what the rental car cost you. And that total is $1,222. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Order.
All rise. Now it's case number 253 on the calendar, the matter of McKinney versus Bates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. McKinney, you moved into the defendant's home, and at the time the two of you were involved in a relationship. That didn't work out. You allege all kinds of things and allege that he owes you money. Mr. Bates says not only doesn't he owe you any money, but you were supposed to pay your own way when you moved in with him. You did not do that. And in addition, when you left, you took some property of his, including a dog that you had given him. He has a counterclaim. So, when did you move in with Mr. Bates?
January of 2010.
What do you think Mr. Bates owes you for?
I purchased a table, a dining room table, and dishes and all of that stuff.
Not all of that stuff. This is a court, Ms. McKinney. You purchased a table. How much did you pay for the table, and from whom did you purchase it?
I paid $598.11, and I got it at Big Lots.
Mr. Bates.
Yes.
I'm interested in a dining room table for $600. Who bought it?
She technically bought it.
I don't want to know technically. That's where we are. We're
She
in a court.
purchased it.
And where is it now?
In my house.
Is she living in your house now?
No, she's not.
She gets her table back.
She owes me.
Just a second. She doesn't owe you anything until I say she owes you anything.
Okay.
Do we understand each other?
We do. Yes.
Perfect. What else did you purchase?
I purchased dishes and...
Dishes. Who did you purchase dishes from?
Target.
How much were they?
2 sets for $60 each, $120.
What do you need 2 sets of dishes? You keep kosher?
Because we have people come over and a set is only for 4 people.
Oh, you mean 2 small sets?
Yes.
2 sets of dishes usually refers to something else. Just wanted to know. What? It was a joke. Nobody thought it was funny. I'm allowed to amuse myself. I've been here 15 years. Okay, so 2 sets of dishes for $120. Are the dishes in your house?
Yes.
They go back to her with the table in 5 days.
Half of them are broken.
That's not my problem.
He stepped on them and broke them because I wanted them back.
When?
About a month before I moved out.
It's not true.
Just a second. A month before you moved out. Now, after he stepped on the dishes, did you make up?
Yes.
Then I'm not interested.
Okay.
What else?
A bunk bed for my son.
Bunk bed. She purchased a bunk bed?
For both of our kids.
I don't care. Did she purchase a bunk bed?
Yes, and gave it to me.
Get a bed for your own kid.
She gave it to me.
No, she didn't. Get a bed for your own kid.
I had one.
Good. She's getting the bunk bed back, along with the table.
I don't agree.
I don't care whether you agree or not. This is not a popularity contest.
Right.
This is a court.
It is.
Perfect. Anything else?
Snow pants that I paid for. They were $150.
Snow pants?
Yeah. They ended up getting left behind when I grabbed all my clothes.
Well, so what do you want from me? Go buy new snow pants. What's next?
Punitive damages for harassment.
Do you know that if I actually got punitive damages from people for harassing me, I would be a very rich person?
It was harassment and abuse, domestic violence.
You have 5 minutes. Less, 3.
We were going out for a night and we were discussing sexual acts and we were joking around and having a fun time. And after we went out, he got drunk and belligerent and started going crazy. And he threw my keys across the room. He pushed me down on the couch. He pinned me to the bed. He was yelling in my face. He was this close to my face, screaming and yelling at me. And I was just sitting there crying, asking him to stop. And he went to go light a cigarette in the room. And that's when I freaked out because I didn't know what he was going to do with that cigarette.
Why'd you leave?
He wouldn't let me get to my phone. He was holding me in the house.
No, he wasn't holding you in the house.
He was holding me in the house.
He went to the other room to get a cigarette.
In the living room, and the bedroom is in the back of the house. There's no way to get out of the bedroom.
Keep going.
He had my phone.
Keep going.
He was in the front of the house.
Come on. Busy. Let's go.
He was holding me down to the bed. He went and then he went to go light. He went to go light the cigarette, and I freaked out because I didn't know what he was going to do with it. I thought he was going to burn me.
I don't care what you thought. What did you do?
I yelled and told him to stop, to not light the cigarette, and then he kept me in the room, kept my phone from me, wouldn't let me leave.
And then what did you do?
I said, please, can I just go to bed?
What did you do?
In the morning, I text my mom.
So you went to sleep?
Yes. I waited for him to
Just
pass
a
out
second.
and I went to sleep.
You went to sleep?
Yes. I had no way to get out of the house.
Just a second. You went to sleep. According to what you just said to me, you waited for him to pass out. That's what you just said. I waited for him to pass out and then I went to sleep.
By then it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't care. If I were petrified of somebody, I would get out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I had no way to. He threw my keys. I didn't have my car. My phone wasn't working because he had broken it.
Well, you're very fortunate that you're here. You should have left 3 o'clock in the morning, gone to a neighbor, knocked at a door, say I'm in danger, somebody's trying to kill me. Do you understand? Don't fetch about it later. You went to sleep. You had a fight, you went to sleep. All right. Next.
I have a witness that was there when I picked her up, when she came and picked me up that morning.
How did you get your witness to come and pick you up?
Because
I asked you a simple question. How did you get the witness to come and pick you up?
When we left the next morning to go get the kids, I sent my mom a text message because I got my phone to work. And I said, come pick me up in 45 minutes with a truck. Don't text back. I have to delete this. After I sent that to her, he took my phone, held it out the window, was driving over 100 miles an hour, acting like he was going to crash my car.
You want to know something? 3 o'clock in the morning, you should have left. Gotten in touch with somebody and said, I'm in danger, I'm leaving. Do you understand?
I couldn't.
Well, that's what you say. If I felt as if my life was in danger and the perpetrator of that alleged danger passed out, according to you used the words, he passed out, I would have gotten out of that house. Now, let's get to your answer. Answer. Ashley never paid me her share of rent or utilities, and all the furniture she wants back belongs to me. Not true, belongs to her. And she took your dog. Now tell me about the dog. When did she take the dog?
This was just before Christmas. When she moved out, she took the dog.
Very good. You're getting smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm paying half for the table. I'm paying half for the rent. I was paying for everything. Yeah.
And later today.
Get your what back and forth to school?
My daughter.
How old is your daughter?
5.
You have this 5-year-old child with him?
Oh, no way. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ashley McKinney says former live-in boyfriend Bill Bates owes for the return of furniture and an assault. Bill is countersuing for utility bills, child care costs, and pet expenses.
Now, did you love the dog?
Yes, I loved it. My son loved it.
When for the first time did you go to the police and say she stole your dog?
I never went to the police.
We're now, sir, almost in October.
Yes, we are.
That's almost a year ago. If I woke up and found that somebody stole my dog, I would have been at the police the next day.
5 months ago.
Listen, you have a son?
I do.
You have a son?
Yes, I
you
do.
love him?
Yes, I do.
If you went into his bedroom and found him missing one day, would it take you 5 months to report that to the police? You would go right away.
Right away.
Right. Well, some people feel that way about their pets, sir. So I'm not interested in a counterclaim that's asking for a dog back after 5 months. Do we understand each other?
Well, it's not necessarily the dog. I mean, I spent for the vet bills on that dog and in supplies.
I don't care. It's irrelevant to me.
She took the dog away from me and my son.
It's irrelevant to me,
There's
sir.
nothing I could...
If you wanted the dog back and it's your dog, then you should have... I'm speaking. Do you see my mouth moving? If you wanted the dog back, and I would have entertained your application to get the dog back, if she took the dog September 15th, and you said, she stole my dog, and I love that dog, and she gave it to me as a gift, I want it back, I would have heard you.
This is 5 months now, and she's asking for furniture. So, I mean, regardless of the dog or the furniture...
No, there's a difference between furniture and a dog.
Well, it's a gift.
In my mind, there's a difference.
Well,
but just like there's a difference. You see my mouth moving? Just like there's a difference between furniture and your son.
That's correct.
There's a different feeling. You don't love a table. And she doesn't love her snow pants.
Actually, I do love the table. It's an awesome table.
You do love the table?
Yeah, it's a beautiful table.
You love the table more or less than your son?
Oh, I love my son more.
Right. Okay. She gets back the table, you don't get back the dog. Now, let's talk about what she owes you for rent, because that's what she says. She never paid her share of her rent or utilities.
She actually moved in October of 2009.
Yes?
She stayed with me rent-free.
For how long?
For 7 months.
Just a minute. And was she supposed to pay you in October?
Yes.
Did she pay you?
No.
Did you evict her?
No.
She stayed with you in November?
Yes.
Did she pay you?
No.
Did you evict her?
No.
She stayed with you in December?
Yes.
Did she pay you?
I see where you're going.
You got where I'm going? You got where I'm going? It's over. She gets her table and her bunk beds, the unbroken dishes, and if you want to, wrap the unbroken dishes in her snow pants if you have them, within 5 days. It's finished.
But...
Over. Done.
You don't understand what I've done for this girl.
Listen. You beat her up? Listen to me. Just a second. You don't understand me, sir. I don't care.
I can see that.
I
but
don't care. I'm not giving her the money that she wants. Now, let me see how much money she wants. $5,000 because she had a fight. She's not getting any money.
Right.
She's getting her furniture back. Because she spent her money on it, she's taking her furniture back. Because that's reasonable. But if you actually had a contract with her for rent and utilities,
I didn't
and
bring
she
the
lived
lease.
with, and she lived with you for 7 months and shared a bed with you, and as she discussed, you know, having cute little sex talk before this argument took place, I'm not interested, quite frankly, in rent.
Well, she was only eligible to buy those things for the place because I paid for the rent. If I didn't pay for the rent or the bills, she wouldn't have been able to buy the table or any of that. So technically, I'm paying half for the table, I'm paying half for the rent. I was paying for everything. Yeah, I know.
5 days, that's all. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Parties are excused. May step out.
we were planning on having a long future together,
I bought her a wedding ring, actually.
and it just kind of went downhill.
I'm stuck with a wedding ring, and she gets the furniture.
Be smart about who I choose to be with.
Well, I'm telling you what, next time she comes to my work for a booty call, I'm gonna tell her no way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bloom versus Colby, step forward.
Donald Bloom is suing his daughter's ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Michael Colby, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Michael claims the money was a gift.
Mr. Bloom, this young man used to be your daughter's boyfriend. Is your claim you loaned him money for a car? He paid you back some. There is a balance on the loan, and he and your daughter are no longer a couple. Mr. Colby says that you did, in fact, give him money to buy a car. It was just that. It was a gift. He did, in fact, give you back some money for some bizarre reason, but he said there was never an agreement to pay you back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Colby?
Currently, right now, nothing.
Who are you living with?
My parents.
Why are you laughing at that? Is this your father?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
How old are you?
23.
Have you always lived with your parents?
For like the past probably 3 years.
Where did you live prior to that?
On my own.
For how long?
From when I was 17 to about 3 years ago, so.
And what kind of work were you doing from 17 to 20?
Warehouse production.
And when was the last time you were employed?
About a year ago.
Month?
May.
May of 2009?
Yes, ma'am.
And you haven't worked since May of 2009?
Yeah.
When did Mr. Bloom turn over this money to you for a car? In what month?
September.
Of what year?
09.
And at that time you weren't working?
Nope.
No is the answer.
No, ma'am.
What did you need a car for?
Transportation, look for a
For what?
job, get my daughter back to school.
Get your
home.
what?
For what?
Get your what back and forth to school?
My daughter.
How old is your daughter?
5.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you start giving him back this gift?
I don't remember when I started paying him back the money, but the reason why I paid him back that 5 was I felt guilty for it.
What made you stop feeling guilty?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald Bloom says his daughter's ex-boyfriend, Michael Colby, owes for a loan to buy a car.
You have this 5-year-old child with him?
No way, no. No.
Thank God.
And with whom does your daughter live?
Half with her mom and half with me.
Well, half with you. You mean half with your father? Because you don't pay rent, because you don't work.
When I was with her, I was paying rent. I was paying $500 to my parents.
Well, how could you pay $500
Because I was
to your
working
parents?
up until the time I broke my hand.
When?
I broke my hand in May of 09.
Why?
So for the last year, from May of 09, well, certainly until September of 09, when he gave you money to buy a car, you weren't working.
No.
You say he was working.
He was working for
Where
Stanley
was he working?
Steamer.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
How long had he worked for Stanley Steamer at the time you gave him the car money?
I loaned him the money in September of 09, so he was working. I mean, my daughter met him about May. I don't know how long prior
May of
to
09.
that. Yes.
Now we together, sir? So at the time that you got this money from Mr. Bloom, you were working for Stanley Steamer.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what Mr. Bloom says, because he also said that you were giving him back $200 every couple of weeks towards this loan, which is why he gave you $2,500, and all that's left is $2,050.
As far as we talked, it was a gift. He never loaned me the money. It was always a gift.
Well, when did you start giving him back this gift?
I don't remember when I started paying him back the money, but the reason why I paid him back that $5 was I felt guilty for it. So.
And when did you stop feeling guilty?
When I stopped paying him, probably a few months ago.
What made you stop feeling guilty?
Because in a way, I felt like I didn't owe him the money, and then...
Okay. So in a way, you felt as if you didn't owe him the money.
Yeah.
Tell me what kind of way you felt that you didn't owe him the money.
Because his daughter had stated she was going to help pay back the money, and it was, like I said, it was just a gift.
No, don't tell me it was just a gift. That's a conclusion. So you didn't actually feel as if you actually owed him the money, even though you had paid him back some of the money, because his daughter said she was going to help pay back some of the money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the conversation you had with your then girlfriend.
In the beginning, I didn't want to take the money. I was leery on it. She stated
to you,
yes, to me, to take the money. She would help me pay it back.
Great. Take the money. I will help you pay the gift back, right? No. I'm trying to understand you, Mr. Colby. Take the money, and if you have a problem, I'll help you pay the gift back, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to pay something back, then that's a loan. Do you understand that, Mr. Colby?
Yeah.
All right. So, I know I was making fun before when I said, paying back this gift. But if you're going to pay something back, it's a loan.
It's true.
Why did you bring your father here?
Because he's been through it the whole time. With all the harassing and text messages. Don's the one that got him involved in it. When it was between me and him, he should have never got my dad involved on it.
What was between the two of you?
The money that he had given me.
Erica Heskett says ex-boyfriend Joseph Siegert owes for loans and an assault.
Miss Hesketh, the defendant used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, as so many other women who have appeared before me over the years, gave him some money.
Yes,
a lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't look like a very, very rich girl, so you look as if this money really put a dent in your wallet.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, you claim not only to have given him money, but to have been the victim of his bad temper.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that he assaulted you, and you want him to be responsible for that as well. Mr. Siegert says that there was, over the course of your relationship, money moved back and forth. There was never any understanding that he was going to repay this money that you gave him. He doesn't much talk about the assault, but he will today. So, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Ma'am, we first started living together around 13 September of '06.
And did you move in together to a place, or did he move into your apartment?
Ma'am, he's on parole. He got released from parole and got what is called live-outs. So therefore, he was given permission to live with me in my condo and do a work release type program.
What were you in prison for, Mr. Siegert?
I was DWI. It was a suspended sentence, Your Honor.
So you weren't in prison?
No, ma'am.
When did you move into her apartment, sir? On September 13th?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the financial arrangement, Mr. Siegert, when you moved into her apartment?
There wasn't none. There was no agreement whatsoever. And when I basically found another place, which was back with my parents, then I moved out.
When was that?
Well, September 13th I moved in, so I would say October. And November was when we were splitting up a lot, fighting.
Is that right?
Ma'am, he moved out the 13th was the final day when all the stuff got removed from my residence.
Okay. So let's hear about the money you claim he owes you.
Okay. Around the 26th of August, he had to go down to Texas for his child support hearing. Basically, he owed around $15,000 in back child support. They were going to throw him in jail, and he had to go to court down there. He stressed the importance of being able to see his daughter and have his daughter into his life, and really was upset and asked me for help. I went at that time with him to City Financial Bank, and I took out a loan for $5,000. I then turned around and deposited that money into my account. I transferred $3,000 from savings to checkings on the 29th so I could write the check of check number 1222.
For what?
For his attorney, for the retainer.
And how did you get the name of the attorney?
He had provided the name of the attorney, ma'am.
And how did you get the city and state of the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
And how did you get the amount that was owed the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
Did you speak to the attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got the telephone number from?
The defendant.
Is that all correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you sent this money down, what kind of discussion did you have with Mr. Siegert with regard to the money?
Ma'am, he promised that he would pay me back on the monthly payments that were due, and he claimed that
because this was a loan that you were going to be paying back. You didn't just take money out of your bank. And how much were the monthly payments?
They were around $148 a month.
That's a pretty exact number. Were they $148 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So that's the first amount of money. What else?
The other amounts that I helped him out with was basically the rent, which we had the agreement.
Forget rent. If you didn't pay the rent the first month, you should have kicked him out. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Now you want to tell me about when this assault allegedly took place?
Yes, ma'am. The assault happened on 31 December at around 12:30 in the morning. The defendant came over. He had still had house keys since he had previously moved out on the 13th. He came in. He was drunk at the time, came into my bedroom, was trying to talk to me while he was drunk. I told him to get out. We got into a fight because I threatened to call the police. And basically, he slapped the cell phone out of my hands. He grabbed me. I was on the chair, and he pinned me down. He had one hand over my nose and one over my mouth, and he says, "How does it feel knowing that I've got your life in my hands?" I then told him to get off. I couldn't catch my breath, and I proceeded to just get extremely dizzy and sick.
And he left?
He left, but he took my vehicle in the process.
Did he return the vehicle?
The cops contacted him. The vehicle got returned.
You called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you arrested that day, sir?
No, Your Honor.
How did they get the car?
I ended up bringing it back to her because reported phone calls and stuff like that and threats. So I brought it back. I didn't want any more conflict whatsoever. But if you don't mind, Your Honor, the only evidence I have against that assault is right here from my PO stating...
Don't tell me what your PO states.
Okay.
Let's get to this money that Ms. Haskett laid out for you. $3,000 you acknowledge she gave towards your attorney.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, is this a retainer for an attorney, or was this to pay your child support?
An attorney.
An attorney for what?
For child support, I was fighting for custody and to take care of the back child support.
Why were you fighting for custody?
Well, I wanted to get my rights back.
What rights?
The standard visitation rights.
So, well, there's a difference between custody and visitation. So what were you fighting for?
Just my visitation and to get back child support readjusted.
Well, did you get the back child support readjusted?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
To what?
It is down to about $7,000, and now I'm paying extra each month to get it back down.
Wouldn't it have been smarter to save the $3,000 for the lawyer and just give $3,000 to your child?
I couldn't. I had to fight for myself. Because if I did not go down there and get it reduced, yes, because it was an outrageous amount.
Well, how much was it a week?
It was a week. They didn't know my income right at the time because...
But don't tell me what they didn't know. I asked you a specific question. What was the amount of child support you were supposed to pay?
$384 a month.
Well, that's not an outrageous amount.
Well, it's, for one child, you don't get a C.
How much were you supposed to pay that you didn't pay a month?
$384 a month, Your Honor.
That was not an exorbitant amount.
No, it wasn't.
Why didn't you pay it?
Because I wasn't seeing her. She wouldn't let me.
Why didn't you go to court?
I was in the process of it. I didn't have the money.
You don't need money to go to court. Every domestic relations court in this country, you can appear pro bono if you want to, if it's important to you.
Very.
If it was important to you, that's what you do. In any event, why should Miss Hassett pay this $3,000 for a lawyer that you needed to keep you out of jail because you didn't pay child support?
Because I actually had an agreement with my attorney on payment plans.
So why didn't you pay her? She has to pay $148 a month. How much were you supposed? If you were supposed to pay your lawyer a payment plan, how much were you supposed to pay your lawyer a month?
It was going to be $100 a week.
$100 a week, which is $400 a month.
Yes.
Well, this was only $148 a month. Why didn't you pay her?
She was paid, Your Honor.
How?
By cash,
No, that's not what you say here. I have your answer. And when you had time to write this answer, you had time to reflect. So don't give me a lot of baloney. The only thing that you say here is that you gave her a $2,800 settlement check. It's the only thing that you say that you gave her. Am I correct? That's what you say here. And you say there was money back and forth. But as far as this $3,000 is concerned, what you say, Mr. Siegert, is she took it upon herself to pay the lawyer. I never asked her.
She did. That's exactly how. She was being...
Who are you? I'm his mother.
Sorry.
I would suggest you be quiet. So far, you haven't done a good job.
But, Your Honor, I...
Got it? Yeah. And I would keep the relationship to myself, especially today.
Your Honor, I did not ask her to go get the $3,000.
What I'm asking you, sir, is if you had an arrangement with the lawyer to give him $100 a week,
yes,
which is $400 a month, and she laid it out, why didn't you give her the $400 a month until the $3,000 was paid off?
It was paid off, Your Honor.
Tell me how. That's what I'm listening.
By a settlement check. I was getting at it. Yeah.
Well, then
I
get
got
there.
it. I received it in January 7th.
Settlement check for what?
I was fired for wrongful reasons.
Did you receive that $2,800
No, ma'am.
check?
No, ma'am.
Show me proof.
I have no proof, Your Honor, due to the fact that she entered my house a while back and took all my receipts and contracts
Mr. Siegert,
for that.
Mr. Siegert, I believe you this much, sir. Because all you have to do is call whoever sent you the settlement check. Get a copy of it, because if she endorsed it, they would have gotten it back, right?
I have a copy of...
Show me.
...of the settlement at my house.
Just a second. You have a copy of the settlement at your house. Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
I didn't think it would be brought up.
Well, of course it would be brought up, sir. That's what you wrote in your answer. Why didn't you think it would be brought up?
Didn't cross my mind. I was thinking about...
You have no mind. You owe her the $3,000. Now, let's hear your version of the events of the 31st of December when you entered her home.
I don't recollect hardly anything whatsoever because I don't drink. I don't drive.
Well, you did drive because you just told me that you returned her car to her, so you clearly drove.
Well, not personally.
What do you mean not personally?
Well, because I was paying for a vehicle that I could not drive yet.
Look at you. I want you to look at your mother's face. Your mother is looking at you and saying, I really wish I wasn't here. Why didn't I send somebody else? You have other children?
Yes.
You have older children?
Yes.
Why didn't I send one of the older kids with him? Why am I subjecting myself to sitting here and having a television camera on me, listening to this child that I reared? Listen, tell me about the 31st of December.
31st of December. Yes, she did call and report that I did assault her. As I know.
I want you to tell me not what she did.
Your Honor, I honestly don't know what I did exactly on the 31st, but I know what she said I didn't do. What's that?
Because you were drinking?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know what you were doing on the 31st of December, either you were drinking or drugging or something.
Either I was working or sleeping. That was my life, Your Honor. I was on parole. That's what my life is now. I don't do anything that she says I do. Drink, drive, commit crimes, all that stuff. I've made my mistake, and I pay for it.
Not yet.
Obviously.
How many grandchildren does your mother have?
She has one, Your Honor.
Does she see that one grandchild?
Sorry, I apologize. She has three. One from me and two from my sister.
You don't have to bend down. We can hear you. Does she see the grandchild that is your child?
No.
Is that her choice, your choice, or the child's choice?
Neither. The mother's choice. That's why I'm in a battle.
Maybe you wouldn't be in such a battle if you paid your child support.
It's being paid, Your Honor.
Well, people usually don't go on an eating hiatus, Mr. Siegert.
Right.
Including children. They have to eat regularly, they have to be clothed regularly. So the fact that you went on a child support hiatus doesn't necessarily endear you to the mother of your child.
Your Honor, I'm not saying that I didn't. Well, I didn't pay the child support. I'm not saying I did it off. I had her, she got her money, but it wasn't recorded. That's what I'm saying. Now it's legal through the courts, and they didn't adjust anything, and that's why it's being adjusted from what I did already pay.
Listen, Ms. Hassett, you weren't together with him very long, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake?
A big one.
Okay. So right now what you really out is $3,000. You have no difference in your rent, even though you say that he promised to pay you rent. He lived with you 3 months. You still living in the same condo?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a roommate?
No, ma'am.
Right. So your primary problem is that you are stuck with this $3,000 loan that you took out to pay for his lawyer, and that he's responsible to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step back.
25-year-old Chad Navarro is suing the mother of his daughter, 23-year-old Jennifer Resnikoff, for stealing money from his bank account. Chad claims Jennifer used the money to buy drugs.
Mr. Navarro, you and Ms. Resnikoff lived together for a period of time, and you also have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, when you were living together, you gave Ms. Resnikoff the ability to withdraw money from your bank account. She had access to your bank account, and that was with your permission to cover certain bills.
Yes.
It is your claim that she drained your bank account in order to purchase drugs.
Yes.
And you want her to reimburse you for the amount that she took without your authorization to purchase drugs. Ms. Resnikoff says that she did in fact withdraw the money from your bank account. It was a bank account that you gave her access to. She had withdrawn money in the past for household items, but that you had not given her sufficient money to take care of your child, and she purchased items for your child, and that was the reason that she took the money out of the bank. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Resnikoff. When did Mr. Navarro give you access to the bank account?
I'd say probably about 4 months after we first met.
Give me the month and the year.
Approximately, I would say March of 2002, approximately.
So from March of 2002 until what date did you have access to the bank account?
Till we broke up.
Which was when?
Which was in August of this year.
During what months do you claim that she withdrew, without your permission, the bulk of the money, over $3,000?
Yeah.
September and October of what year?
5.
And when did the two of you break up?
We broke up maybe at the end of September.
October. Not August, it was October.
When was the last time you lived with Miss Resnikoff?
I don't really remember the dates. You know, I don't remember.
Was it 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago?
It was about a month, maybe 2 weeks ago.
I moved in with my brother 3.5 weeks ago, thank you.
That's not August.
Well, I was saying that in August and October she was taking the money out. In 8 and 9. Oh, August and September. Okay.
Can I see your bank statement? How old is your baby?
11 months, ma'am.
Where is the baby?
She is here.
Who does she live with?
Me.
Are you talking, sir, about where it says ATM withdrawals?
Yes. She had the card. She took it out of the mail.
What'd you spend all this money on?
My baby.
Baloney.
No, really. I have a witness that was there most of the times that I went out and purchased stuff.
Well, just a second. Who gave you the authority to do that?
Well, I thought, seeing that I was on the account, that I could access it without this being a problem.
You spent over $3,000 in a 30-day period on your baby?
I don't think it was $3,000.
Yeah?
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Right on the back page, you can see the checks that she wrote to cash. So, I mean, why would she write it to cash if she was just buying the stuff for the baby? She could have just went there.
Listen to me, it's baloney. I just said to you, it's baloney.
I was just saying, sorry.
Yeah, it's baloney. My question to you, Mr. Navarro, is something that, to me, is more serious than $3,000 out of your bank account. You have a son or a daughter with this lady?
Daughter.
And you separated and she took the baby?
Yes.
And you say she's got a drug problem?
She's with her brother right now, and
so
she's
what?
been clean.
How do you know that?
Because
How do you know
I trust her brother. Her brother's my best friend, and I trust him. And
you trust him to what?
He's there all day.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
He's there all day.
Well,
and
why? He doesn't work?
No, he does work. He does eBay.
What do you mean he does eBay?
eBay, he sells stuff on eBay.
Where does he get the stuff he sells on eBay?
He buys it offline and then sells it, like laptop, computers, and stuff like that.
Where does he get the money from to buy the stuff, sir?
Where does he get it? From eBay. He posts the stuff, he gets the money, and then he uses the money to buy the stuff again. You know what I mean? That's how...
Do I know what you mean? I know what you're telling me. I know what you're telling me. What do you do for a living?
Me? I'm a warehouse manager.
Let me tell you this, Mr. Navarro. If somebody has a $3,000 a month drug habit, which is what you're alleging, you don't get over a $3,000 a month drug habit unless you go into an inpatient facility for a long time. And I wouldn't believe my best friend, who makes his money in some unorthodox way, that his sister is clean. You following me, sir?
Yes.
That's what I would worry about. Not the fact that she took this money out of a bank account that you gave her access to, that she's had access to for 3 years. You should have been watching the store a little more carefully. Do you understand? What I would worry about is my 11-month-old child, if you believe that she was using drugs, which is very easy to find out. You go to court, you file for custody of your child, they take her in, they do a drug test on her hair. They do a hair follicle test, and the hair follicle test will show what kind of drugs she had been doing over the last year, in what amount, and in what frequency. Not whether she used drugs the day before, but it will show a pattern of drug use. That's what you do. Do you understand? If that's what you think,
Well, she even admitted
listen to me. Have you done that?
What? No.
Take custody of your daughter?
No.
Well, then I hardly believe, sir, that a man, the only one in this whole family of three, she, her brother, and you, the only one who works, who has a steady source of income for a long time, you're the only one who can manage to hold it together, has not done that. I said, it's okay for you. You can go live with your brother. You and your drug habit, and your brother and his unorthodox business can all go live together, and I'll do what I have to do. That's not what a responsible person does, Mr. Navarro. Responsible person doesn't leave an 11-month-old child with someone who had a $3,000 a month drug habit. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I did not have a drug habit. I had admitted to him that I had tried certain drugs, which I'm not proud of.
Just a second. Where did you get them?
Where did I get them?
No, I asked the question. Don't take time to think of the answer. Where did you get them?
From his...
He gave them to you for nothing, or did you pay for them?
I paid for them.
Out of this money?
Part of it, yes, but not $3,000 worth.
I don't care if it was 20 cents. She says she told you she got the drugs from your...
There was an intervention that we had, and everybody came over, and she admitted that she was doing the drugs, and she did not
just told me she just told me she was doing drugs.
But it was more than that, what you admitted.
Listen
it
to me.
wasn't only that.
Listen. I believe if she admits to a little, she used a lot. My problem with you, Mr. Navarro, is when you go to court and seek custody of your daughter, they will do a drug test on her mother. And I guarantee you that if it's established that she's been using drugs, the chances of you getting custody of your child, if you don't do drugs...
No. The thing is, if I do that, she said she would run, so...
She said she'll run?
Yeah.
Mr. Navarro, that's what they all say. That's what you're supposed to do if you feel as if your child is at risk. Do you understand?
Yes.
And then, if you have custody of your daughter, that gives her an opportunity to get a job, which now she doesn't have, right?
No.
And once she gets a job, you might get some of this money back. Won't be in the form of this, it'll be in the form of child support that she'll have to pay you to help take care of your daughter. You get it? Yeah. That would be my concern, sir. My 11-month-old would be my concern. Is it yours?
Yes.
Good, your case is dismissed, that's all.
17-year-old Tomas Plancarty Benson says former friend Daniel Tingem cheated him out of $200. Daniel claims he and Tomas were partners in a bank scam.
Mrs. Benson, this is your son, Mr. and Mrs. Naylor, your son, and it is your claim, Miss Benson, that the defendant's son defrauded your son out of a couple of $100.
That's correct.
By some sort of scam with your son's ATM card. Mr. and Mrs. Naylor say that this was not a scam by their son, but sort of a thing that both boys did because they wanted some money, and your son is just not prepared to fess up that he was complicit in this little scam. So he's blamed their son.
Okay.
So why don't the parents sit down for a second, because they weren't there, they don't know what happened. The only two people that know what happened are these two people who were standing in front of me. Your first name is what?
Tomas.
And yours?
Daniel.
Daniel, how long have you and Tomas been friends?
For a couple of years now.
So why don't you tell me, Tomas, your version of what happened and when it happened?
All right. This situation all started on January 23rd of this year when I had lent Mr. Tingem $40 from my own bank account.
Where were you when he asked you for the money?
I was at home.
And where was the money?
It was in my bank account.
And where was he?
At his house, I presume, yeah.
Well, how did he contact you, sir?
Yeah, he called me. He had called me from his house.
And said what?
And said he needed $20. The first time. There's two transactions here. One earlier in the evening and then one later. And
Look at me, sir.
I'm trying to collect myself. I'm very nervous.
He called you once and said, I need $20, not 40.
It's 40. He asked me for 40 altogether. The first time he said he needed money for...
Mr. Benson, you're tripping all over yourself, sir. Look at me. You're tripping all over yourself, Tomas.
I'm very sorry. I'm very nervous.
Get unnervous, Mr. Benson.
It's very hard. Sorry.
He called you in your house on January 23rd and said, I need...
$20 first.
Okay. And you said...
Okay. I didn't ask him what he needed it for.
I didn't ask you. And then what did you do? Did you say, I'll meet you at my bank? Come over.
Yeah. I said I'd meet him halfway there. Like, there's a street that we meet at, and then we head to my bank.
So you went to your bank on January 23rd and took out $20.
Yeah, just $20 first.
And you gave it to him?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And then he called me later that evening and
Just a minute, then he went home and you went home?
Yeah. We went home.
Go ahead.
And then he called me later that evening saying he needed another $20. And so I said, all right, but that's kind of a lot of money that I'm lending to you. Could you pay me interest on it or something? And he agreed $10 interest, which would make it $50. And that was our agreement. And the way he was going to pay me back was getting a check from his grandma with the amount of $250 later that week. He was supposed to be getting this check. So then we agreed that I would cash this check through my bank. Then afterwards, I waited till for...
Look at me. Don't look there.
I'm sorry. So then I was going to wait for a call from him. And then I finally got the call on February 2nd, Wednesday. And he said that he finally got his check from his grandma. And we'd met up and we headed to my bank. And I looked at the check and it was in the amount of $250. I signed my name to pay to the order of Tomas Benson. I have all this right here. I have all this evidence.
I didn't ask you for anything. I asked you to tell me the story.
All right, we headed to my bank. I looked at the check, seeing that it was in the right amount.
You told me about that already.
Yeah, and then I put it in the envelope, put it on the ledge, grabbed my wallet to get my bank card out to the bank, put it in the machine, typed in the amount, $250 deposit, and sometime between that time, I believe that he had switched the envelope. He took an envelope with the check in it, and he...
Don't tell me what you believe, sir. I'm not interested what you believe.
But yeah, I put it on the ledge. I typed in that I would deposit it.
You told me that already.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you.
Don't tell me again. I have a very good memory.
Then I put the envelope into the bank, and then I withdrew $200 from my own account, and I gave it to him then, because I thought the $50 was supposed to be mine, and then I'd give him $200 out of my own bank to make it even. And then afterwards, we just parted ways.
Subsequently, you advised that they had no envelope, they had no check, they had no nothing, and your bank account became overdrawn. Is that right?
No, I had money in my account.
Okay, but you were advised then that the account never was credited with $250 in that check. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you thought that was a big scam. Mr. Benson, after you gave him the $200 in cash, where did you go?
Back to my house.
Where did he go?
I'm not very sure.
Okay, go. Let's start with January 23rd with the two $20 bills.
That's not true. He never loaned me $20 two times. That's not true at all.
I have statements here.
You don't have a bank statement showing that you lent him $20 twice? You have a bank statement that they withdrew $20?
Two withdrawals for the amount of $20.
So what? He says you never lent him any money.
Well,
That's
I can show you my bank statements here. They show there's 2 transactions on that day.
I believe that there were 2 transactions on that day, sir. But you have no proof. I believe that there were 2 transactions on January 23rd. There is absolutely nothing to suggest that those 2 transactions had anything to do with him, other than your testimony. Is that right? Is that right?
I guess, yes.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, on January 27th, when he did pull up the $200, we both split the $200 with that. I was supposed to, in interest, I was supposed to give him $50 later for it.
Just a second. You're getting ahead of yourself, Daniel. On the 27th, what happened?
Okay, me and Thomas met up. We had an idea. We were going to go deposit a slip with no check in it. We both knew what
Just a second. On the 27th, you were going to deposit a slip.
Yes.
Just a deposit slip.
Yes.
Whose idea was this?
It was both of ours.
So you were going to put in just a deposit slip with no check.
Yes.
Draw out $200, but you would owe him $150. $50 of that was interest.
Yes, which I would have to pay later.
What made you and the defendant get together with this little scheme?
Because we wanted money to go out and party that night.
What night?
That night that we did it. I'm not quite sure what day it was, February 2nd, I guess.
Did you go out afterwards?
Yes.
The 2 of you?
Yes.
Where did you go?
Just to people's houses and stuff.
Well, what'd you need money for?
To buy stuff.
Drugs?
Party. No, not drugs.
What?
Alcohol.
Did you go to mutual friends' houses? Look at me. Did you go to mutual friends' houses?
Yes and no.
What do you mean yes and no?
Well, I didn't know some of the people. We went over to somebody else's house I didn't know. We went over to one of my buddies' house that we both knew.
What's his name?
Josh.
Your Honor, I was barred from the premises of Cherry Park Apartments, so I could not go over to Joshua's house.
Why were you barred from there?
Because of an incident with my brother.
No. He got kicked out because they found out that he was dealing.
Dealing what?
Drugs.
No, I had actually been barred because I had a fight with my older brother who also lived in the apartments.
Tomas, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true.
What is it that doesn't make sense?
Your slick story. Now, Daniel, at first when this scam was discovered, what did you tell your parents?
I didn't tell them anything about it at first. I just thought that the less they knew, the better, I guess, at the time. I knew I did something wrong. I didn't really want to fess up to it at the time, but now I think it's the right time. I shouldn't be blamed for everything. We did it 50-50. I'm admitting that we both did it and it was wrong, but I don't want to be the only one to blame.
Okay.
And another thing here.
Is that a police report?
Oh, yes, it is.
Can I see it, please?
And here's the case suit, which here, I'll show you both of them.
Miss Benson, is your son on probation?
No, he's not.
Had he been?
No.
You hesitated there for a moment.
He is going to LifeWorks program that he's going because he had a drug and alcohol problem.
When did he start it? You can stand up now.
He started, I think, in January of this year, I believe it was.
Miss Benson, when did you find out about this money?
Right after the incident happened.
Well, tell me about how you found out about it.
I had found out because Thomas had gotten a letter in the mail saying that there wasn't a check in the envelope. And so he had come to me and told me he was very furious. And then he had made contact with the bank to find out what happened. He wanted an investigation.
So the first you found out about it was when your son came to you.
Yes.
And showed you what?
Showed me the letter he'd gotten from the bank.
Which is right here.
Yeah, I believe that there was nothing in the envelope.
And I would have no reason to put a fake deposit slip in there because I had money in the bank already. If I really wanted to party, I could just pull money out of my bank and it'd be no problem.
Who handles this account for him?
He does.
How old was he when you let him start to take care of this money?
He started working when he was about 15, and he's really good with his money, very tight-fisted, and that's what I don't understand.
Well, he's not so tight-fisted if he was using some of his money for illegal things.
That is true.
Yeah, that's
However, I mean, when this incident happened, there would be no reason for him to put a fake deposit slip in there. If he already had money in there, all he had to do was just go out and pull it out.
That's true.
And they cut.
That's the only thing that I find troubling. Stand up. The only thing that I find troubling, quite frankly, is if this was his mother's bank account, or one that was a joint bank account, and they had, in fact, his mother of the money, right? I could understand he would stick to his story. But this was his money. If he was going to take money out of that account to split to go partying, he can do that.
Yeah, we're not denying the whole story. I'm saying the whole thing sounds fishy to me.
Well, it does sound fishy to me, but the question that I have to ask myself, why would Mr. Benson get this letter from the bank on February 2nd that says there was no check in this deposit envelope and take it to show his mother?
I have no idea.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me
because if
either.
what he wanted to do was take out $200 and go partying with his friend, he would have done that. So why would he do this?
I have no idea.
Can you think of a reason?
Well, we weren't exactly both sober at the time either. We were the influence of alcohol too.
You were?
Yes.
If you were under the influence of alcohol, why would he make up this story about a check and an envelope? Where had you been drinking?
Oh, we just walking around and stuff around town.
We hadn't been drinking. I wasn't drinking at all.
Well, first, when this whole thing started, they did come over to our house, and I was in the other room, and my husband was asking Thomas about this check, and he said that there was a check. My husband asked, okay, what was the color of it? Do you remember whose name was on it? What is the extra $50 for? And he said he was charging him $50 for cashing a check. And my husband asked him, why would you charge somebody $50 for cashing a check? I'm not, if these boys both did something, I didn't have a problem with paying the money back. I just wanted to come down to the bottom of the truth. And that's why I feel like we're here today.
Well, as I said to you, my problem is, why would he go to his mother?
Exactly.
If he was complicit in this incident.
I have no idea.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. That's it. The bank says there was no check enclosed. As a result, we've debited your account. Due to the nature of this transaction, we have disabled your ATM card to ensure that nobody is going to use it, but you can get another ATM card.
Actually, they would not reissue me a card.
They cut it up right there.
And they won't give you another one?
No.
They were very sorry they had to do it because
And I was
he had built
very
a report
embarrassed
with
and
them.
humiliated because I would never defraud my bank. I knew everybody there very well, and I was very responsible with my money. I budgeted very well.
Well, that's not true. You bought some drugs with your money.
Every now and then.
What?
Every now and then, but...
Right. So that's not 100% accurate, right?
Well, compared to other people my age, I believe. Because a lot of people my age don't have bank accounts, don't have as much money as I did.
Miss Benson, he's very slick. He really is. He's very slick. I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced.
Well, I don't think he would have gone through all this trouble. I mean, making a police report.
He just gave me a reason. When did they cut up your bank card?
A few days after I received that letter, though.
Few days. Just listen to me carefully. When did you make a police report?
It was April 3rd or 4th.
After they cut up your bank card.
Yeah.
April 13th.
It was after they cut up my bank card.
Well, that's a reason. That's a reason.
We tried to contact them. We were told by the officer that took the report to contact the family that it was a civil matter, and our phone number was blocked.
I don't care. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether your son was aware of the fact that there was nothing in this deposit slip that the two boys brought to the bank in order to...
I did not know that. I thought...
Listen! That's my job to figure out. He gave me a perfectly cogent story. You did not give me a perfectly cogent story. I'm still not comfortable that you were actually part of it. But I'm not comfortable enough, quite frankly, Mr. Benson, of $20 here and $20 there, and another $10 in interest, making it $50. I don't know what it was about. Maybe it was drug money, maybe he was selling you something. Who knows? I'm not comfortable with your whole story. I'm also not comfortable with saying to you that you were part of the scheme. That's not what I have to determine today. What I have to determine today is whether or not they're going to pay you either all or half of what came out of your bank. And since what you're asking me for is to make a determination that the mailers owe you $250, I'm not prepared to do that because I'm not totally comfortable with your story.
Ma'am,
What?
it's 200, not 250.
Thank you for correcting me, sir. What difference does it make?
That's correct. What difference does it make?
Right.
My son had also asked...
So there's no further issue. I'm not prepared to rule that you are entitled to $200 from the defendant because I'm not totally comfortable with your story, Tomas.
All right. Can I show you some emails that I'd sent him beginning March 27th?
No, show me emails that he sent to you.
Well,
They're answering them right here.
Does he acknowledge that he owes you the money?
Yeah.
Let me take a look at it.
It's beginning March.
And them all.
This was on the...
See these emails?
No.
I have more right here.
Yeah, I also have more right here.
Continuation of all that.
What's that all about, sir?
These aren't even from me.
Yeah, they are from you. What do you think about that, sir?
They're not. Seriously, they're not from me.
Who's Rob's dad?
Robert was his next door neighbor.
And what kind of work does he do for Rob's dad?
Who? I'm sorry,
Your
who?
son.
He does. They can do yard work for him.
And has he done that in the past?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what it says there. I'm doing work for Rob's dad.
Yeah, but I didn't write most of this.
Couldn't have made it up.
Shh. Got it? Look at me, Mr. and Mrs. Naylor. Now you got it?
Yeah, I understand. I just don't understand about the check. This is what the whole weird thing is.
Listen, I don't understand about the checks either. I don't. And I'm not certain whether Tomas is talking about $100 or $200, because nowhere in there does it say how much you think he owes you, because according to him, he acknowledges he owes you $100, right?
Yes.
But not 200.
No. I asked for another check, actually.
Well, why would you ask for another check? If he didn't have a good check the first time, why would he give you a good check the second time from his grandmother? Interesting. And you did write that, Daniel.
Not all of it, though.
Daniel!
Just tell the truth. If you
No, not all of it, though. I'm telling you, but yeah.
So you acknowledged you owed him some money.
Yes.
And you acknowledged that you had a job and that you were going to get him some money.
Yes.
The question is 100 or 200. Is that it?
It's 100.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Hello guys, Assalamualaikum. How are you? I hope so you all are fine. Welcome to my another video. And guys, first of all, I really shameful to you because I can't upload any video from past 3 days. Sorry guys, because I am busy. I am very busy. I am I am in tour with my friends in Kashmir, and guys, really guys, seriously, Kashmir is very beautiful and natural. Nature vibes is very beautiful, guys. Kashmir, the beauty of Kashmir is very good, and you can't believe, guys. I am very happy to show you because Kashmir people is very good and precious and well. Guys, we have two friends, so our our journey is very easy. But if I have no friends in Kashmir, so our journey is very hard and difficult. So guys, and Kashmiri boys is very good. Some is good, some is bad. So don't regret when life gave you a chance, you did it. Don't regret. I hope so you will understand my language. I hope so you will understand my language. And this video is about the nature of Pakistan in Kashmir. I seriously like Makbooza Kashmir, but our Indian brothers are so hard. They have no heart. The people of Kashmir, Makbooza Kashmir, was Pakistan. Guys, but what can I do? Our Prime Minister is not good. I hope so you will enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz.